Take a drink at the ocean and treading water there before I drown. Let's dive, I wanna dive to the bottom of the ocean. I took a ride, I wouldn't go there without you. Let's take a ride, we'll take a ride, I wouldn't leave here without you. I am a mountain, I am the sea. You can't take that away from me. I am a mountain, I am the sea. You can't take that away from me. 'Cause you tear us apart with all the things you don't like. You can't understand that I won't leave till we're finished here. And then you'll find
I'm Catherine Granger and I'm a champion in my life, and I back the bid for Glasgow to host the 2018 Youth Olympic Games.
Hi, I'm Robbie Rennick. I'm Commonwealth champion. I'm supporting Glasgow's bid for the 2018 Youth Olympic Games.
Good morning, everybody, from the International Swimming Centre at Tollcross in Glasgow. This is day 2 of the Scottish Gas National Open Swimming Championships. We had a great evening of racing in the finals last night, and the next 3 days you'll see all sessions on QuipU's live coverage of these championships. I'm Drew Gordon, and with me today Ali White, Director of Performance for Scottish Swimming, and you'll be really privileged to hear an inside comment on all the things that are happening in Scottish swimming today. You can tweet us on hashtag at SGN13Live, that's SGN13Live, and we'll read out the best of your messages if it's at all possible. Apologise for the slight delay, but the first event is underway. That is the women's 200 IM this morning, and the swimmers are already into their action. This is the peak of the season for many, but for some it's just on the way to other championships and trials that are happening later in the programme of British swimming. So, the women's 200 IM, we have 5 heats this morning. And Ali, morning to you. And what's your thoughts from yesterday? I know it's back to Tollcross, but early reflections?
Morning, Drew. Great to be here back in Glasgow again. Yesterday showed some really promising performances, but I think we need to take it into the context of where we are in the season. For many, it is just a stepping stone onto the British Championships in a couple of weeks' time, and then for others onto the ASA Youth and Age Group Championships later in July and August. So some promising performances yesterday. Certainly one or two of the youngsters stepping up, which is nice to see.
Okay, so hope you got that, folks, that it's actually a building block in many ways placed in this time. Lane 3 then, it's Eve White from Dumfries, just heading it out on the breaststroke leg. And just striding out there in the breaststroke. Nice long swim. And now we're in a line for the breaststroke.
Yep. We've got young Eve White out in front. She's from Dumfries, coached by Ben Higson out there. Has had a really tremendous season coming through, primarily in the fly events. But good to see her coming strong now on the freestyles. Got a really good background on her. And probably look for her to press on in this last 25.
So you may be seeing a very strange looking race with some swimmers well behind, but of course the multi-category swimmers are placed inside the able-bodied event. Now at the end of this 200 IM, of course, on the freestyle leg, Eve looking very strong at the end. Head down at the finish. Good coaching, good technique into the wall. Hitting the pad on 2:31.52, registering a nice finish. And that's right on our entry time of 2:31.8. But a good swim from heat number 1 and Eve. Only 14 years of age. Shillelagh Second place going to Joyce, Danielle Joyce. And of course with the medley there's always a long check, and of course the Summers are just paying respect to the Summer in lane 8. Hope Gordon from Stirling, the 19-year-old, entered on 3:24. Clock still running. One of the multi-category Summers. Again, look at that conditioning at the end, head down on the last 10 strokes there. So Hope just a couple of seconds outside her entry time. 2:31.52 for the lead time. Second place 2:33.2, and a very tight finish there with third place. And it was Kirsty Hunter who took that third place. Danielle Joyce in second, but it was Eve White's race from almost the backstroke right through. The first heat clearing. Although the procedure here to keep the championship smooth and running and efficient, it's an over-the-top start normally, but just giving that heat a chance to clear the pool. 5 heats this morning, and remember the program structure is that the top half of the entry rankings swim in the morning, the second half come in the afternoon, just slightly shorter program yesterday. And that leads us through to the evening finals. So it gives the top Summers the maximum amount of time to rest from their efforts. 200 AM, heat number 2.
And so we would expect Gillian Clark from East Lothian to be firing up a little bit on the fly, as being one of her major strokes. And then I think through the race, probably Meg Finnan from South Lanarkshire. She's a good background there, young swimmer from East Kilbride, coached by Andy Figgins. Renowned for her 800 freestyle as much as anything else, so should have some pretty good conditioning.
Yeah, she figured well in the 400 yesterday. So remember, 50 fly, 50 back, 50 breast, 50 free, and all the connections in between. And of course at the championships what you're doing is you're really putting the spotlight on your race skills and polishing them up, and checking out where you are in training, and if you've got a future target, then that's going to be very important to make adjustments from here on in. Nice long drift into the breaststroke there in lane 5 from Meg, but into that breaststroke rhythm pretty quickly.
And so it's Gillian Clark out in front at the moment, but that strong butterfly and backstroke first half of the medley. We'll see how the breaststroke goes as she would get hunted down a little bit by Shannon McClellan from Dumfries. That's her speciality stroke, is the breaststroke, so we'd expect her to come through on that particular leg, and it looks like that's what's happening now.
Really powerful and low. You can see there, very fixed on her strength in the medley. Shannon McClelland just touching ahead, 153.71. Now at the end of the 400, if I remember from last night correctly, Gillian Clark had a very strong finish, so she might come back on this freestyle, Ali.
She is. She's a 203 in a freestyler, so I would expect her to be able to come through just towards that back end.
Over in lane 2, Eleanor Spencer of Highland coming through into a clear third place. But apart from that breaststroke leg, Gillian Clark really taking a grip of heat number 2. 2:28.56. We move down the times, of course. 2:31 in the first heat, 2:28s. In heats 3, 4 and 5, of course, pick up the seeding process. So heat 5 in lane 4, you'll see the fastest entry time. Heat 4, lane 4, the second fastest time. Heat 3, which we're coming to in lane 4, the third fastest time. And then they go back to the top heat. And so you tend to find that little arrowhead shape in the racing if all goes according to the entries. But it's never like that. If it was as easy as that, then you know, it would be wonderful. We could predict so much. But it's sport. It's a human performance. There are errors and there are improvements.
And so we'd expect Raquel Matos to be taking this one out. Really strong on the fly. 61 point yesterday on the 100 fly. Third in the 100. So and she's done exactly that. A really nice fast flowing stroke and looking pretty smooth.
Yeah, she had a good day yesterday. 28.72 on the split. Nice tempo in the back crawl. There's always that link between backstroke and butterfly, but you know, after a hard fly, and 50 is hard for some, there's a tendency to maybe rest a little bit on the back crawl. Just a little bit easier to breathe, but nice high tempo from most of the swimmers.
And Raquel Matos still leading after the first 100. Raquel working pretty hard on the breaststroke to try and improve her technique at the moment. So making the most of the flying backstroke and trying to find her rhythm on this breaststroke. But Alice Tennant's starting to coming through now.
You can see there that black hat just right on the lane line. Little training effect swimming down the left-hand side there. Not getting the best out of the lane. Also a very aggressive looking breaststroke from Orla Adams, who very successful yesterday as well in the 400 IM. Just looks like the Geary Summer prefers the longer medley, but coming through strong on the freestyle. Matos holding steady, and Alice Tennant as the fastest entry of this heat, 2:16.8, just leads them home. That little arrowhead at the front as expected. So now head down into the finish. The Geary Summer, Orla Adams finishing very hard against Matos, and just 300ths short of taking her at the finish. So 2:21s. Again, Ali, we see this kind of tendency in the medley that you can get a big drop from, you know, heats to finals.
Yeah, and for some of these girls, whilst I know the coaches may well be pulling their hair out a little bit in terms of trying to get them to swim quick heats.
2:21.11, 2:21.22 to Matos. Adams in third place, 2:22 just behind by 300ths. As we move to heat number 4. Emily Jones comes in lane 4 for Aberdeen, entered on a 2:15, one of the rising stars of Scottish swimming, but good company beside her as well in this 4th heat of the first event on day 2. Bachelet East Lothian, Gillingham Derwent side, Sharples of East Lothian, Kathleen Dawson Warrington, Emily Jones in 4, Sally Wood in 5 for Warrender, Laura Dawson Newburn, Kirsty Armstrong from the Borders group, Emily Grant Coast, and Elizabeth Lim of Warrender. That's your lineup for heat 4.
So Emily Jones yesterday in the 100 fly, 61 point I think was a lifetime best for her, so she's clearly in pretty good nick at the moment. Technically quite efficient on all 4 strokes, probably renowned more so for her breaststroke, a 2:25 short course 200 breaststroker, so and a 70 point 100 breaststroke long course, so she's in good shape at the moment and is looking quite strong here on the backstroke.
In lane 6, Laura Dawson of Newburn, a nice relaxed backstroke. You'd like to see her pick it up, but she's so efficient. That's a really clean backstroke there from the Newburn swimmer. Both swimmers, nice transition into breaststroke. Jones striking away there up to the first 15. Now trailing a little bit in lane 5, Sally Wood of Warrender, the 23-year-old, entered on 2:19. Bit of ground to make up.
Sally yesterday unfortunately disqualified in the 400 IM, which was her favoured event. and has been swimming around about 4:48 for the medley. Unfortunately got DQ'd, so didn't manage to make it into the final, but certainly making some ground up on the breaststroke here.
Well, it's quite a margin of victory from Jones at the 3/4 mark. The breaststroke paying dividends, and a nice relaxed freestyle on the way home. There's a race in second place and in third place through across the Arrowhead, across the pool. And you've got Kirsty Armstrong and Laura Dawson and Sally Wood there working hard. Emily Jones relaxing a little bit, going into the wall. In 5, Sally Wood then finishing hard for second place, just taking it. In the outside lanes, just completing this heat. The second last heat of the medley. And all the feed in, of course, the difficult turns cleared. Jones with 2:20.48, that's moved the event down. Wood with 2:24.6 and a 2:24.95 to Laura Dawson. Final heat from the morning programme in the women's 200 IM. Kimberly Mackay, Midlothian. Sarah Hamilton, South Aberdeen. Tane Bruce, Carnegie. Sian Morgan of Edinburgh University. Hannah Miley of Geary. Rachel O'Donnell, Carnegie. Kirsten McKinley, City of Glasgow. Joanna White, Lois Lothian. Alex Eastham, Eyemouth. Ruth Gordon, Highland.
And so it's Rachel O'Donnell taking out on the fly at the moment. Hannah Miley there, not always looking great over the first 50 of the 200 IM, but looking as though her stroke rate's nice and high coming on that 50 backstroke, and would expect her to pull through and then move on the breaststroke leg.
And trying to make that a little more difficult exercise, Rachel O'Donnell. Now Miley coming through, 15 to go. Driving in, just watch the pace of Hannah as she goes into this back to breast. On the left arm, well, that's a talented swimmer. Most of the turns in the medley yesterday were on the right arm, back to breast, but can do it off either side. And all eyes, of course, on the great Olympian. It's a role model, and I'm sure lots of coaches are pointing her out to the younger swimmers here. A lot of young age groupers here, and a chance to see the best, one of the best in the world.
And it's not only her attention to detail and the technique and the technical side of the sport, it's the whole attitude around the sport and her extremely high work ethic that goes with it. Doesn't leave anything to chance, and essentially works her socks off at everything that she does. Is a perfectionist, and I think for age groupers that's something that they can definitely learn.
So Hannah streaking it home. Good strong swim from Rachel on the freestyle. Coming through very hard, Sian Morgan at the end. Just a little almost desperate freestyle there, but that's just an interpretation of her style. A 2:17.4. Comfortable swim for Hannah in the morning. Moving off some training into the warm-up. A lot of detailed preparation there, checking little times, 25s off the wall. Miley 2:17. O'Donnell gets a 2:20.8. Morgan in on 2:23.2. Again, clear 1, 2 and 3 in the final heat. Now, we had some summaries yesterday, and sometimes not, but we're just results being held there, and we're looking to see if we'll get a look at who made the final and who didn't make the final as we wait on the men's 400 freestyle to begin. That's the second event here this morning. What you can do is look forward to 200 IM, men's 400, 100 breaststroke for women, 100 backstroke for men, 200 backstroke for women, the 200 fly for men, and a couple of 50s to brighten up the morning, I'm sure. Women's 50 free, men's 50 breast, and then the 800 heat declared winner with the fastest heat that has been arranged going in this evening's final. So we should have 2 or 3 heats of the 800 to conclude the day 2 morning program. Well, the results are clear. We're not getting a summary, but well, if you followed the event through, you've got a good idea of the top 10. They're using 10 lanes here at Tollcross International Swim Centre this year for the heats and the finals. So good chance for a couple of extra swimmers to make it into those A and B finals in the evening. Now we start with the men's 400 freestyle multi-category heat. Got Adam Donaghy, South Lanark in lane 1. Remember, it's lane 0 to lane 9 here in the 10-lane pool. Adam Scott Highland in 2, Fraser Kane, North Ayrshire in 3, James Clegg of East Lothian, the 19-year-old, with a 4:26 entry time. Robert Dalgleish, West Lothian, the 18-year-old in lane 5. Oliver Carter and Craig Smith in 6 and 7 are both from the Fife Performance Group. 400 freestyle.
And so at the moment it's James Clegg, Paralympian, out in front, Paralympic bronze medalist in the 100 fly in London. Still don't know how he managed to squeeze his hands in. Fantastic result.
Would you like to expand on that just a little for get his hands in?
Well, at one stage he looked as though he was well behind, but he managed to spot the finish right on the end of the stroke, and that's something that he'd been working on.
Obviously been watching Phelps and Chavich.
That's exactly what it was. But being partially blind, it's a key thing for him is to be able to spot the wall and trust the fact that he's right on the end of his stroke. Which, of course, if you get that wrong, then you're getting the wall right in the chops. So it was really technically got it absolutely spot on, and I think that was the difference for him in winning that medal. But I know the 400 freestyle is certainly something that him and his coach Matt Trodden at East Lothian are working particularly hard on, looking to develop that event for the future. So I don't think it'll surprise me if we see James moving into that event on a more regular basis and maybe challenging on the world stage on that one as well. And he certainly looks as though he's got established a strong lead at the moment.
Yeah, and when you compare that, it's a nice, strong technique going 2:13.97. Just a slight hesitation in the stroke as he turns to breathe, and then makes me eat my words as he takes 3 or 4 strokes there with no breathing. So not consistent, but necessary. Get that oxygen in. In lane 5, Robert Dalgleish, just in a clear second place there, and you know, a nice high tempo, very low recovery, right against the anti-turb lane ropes there. He's coming out to the middle for the turn a little bit, and in this heat, of course, everybody in their own little world, as the athlete should be, just focusing on their performance and bringing all that training to bear on a race time in the long course. This wonderful facility at Tollcross, really good with the white roof and the light at the top there. It really makes it a very special picture for everybody, and very clear water, so swimmers no problem. A pool that has produced many a fast time, and I'm sure that in the future, a year from now, of course, Ali, as we look forward to Commonwealth Games, you'll be just crossing fingers that those fast times are mostly from the Scots.
No, we're all looking forward to that. It's a fantastic venue, and when it's packed full, hopefully full of Scottish supporters. I think the atmosphere here at Tollcross will be absolutely immense.
Yeah, that's been the problem of expanding the facility, isn't it? Is just being able to complement that with getting an atmosphere that is exciting and bubbling, and you know. But it'll come, I'm sure. Well, better when they're going to build extra seats at the, well, this present start end.
Yeah, and James Clegg there just picking up the pace in the last 25. Coming into the finish.
4:31.6, job done. And there's still a lot of swimming to happen as Clegg finishes 2 swimmers. That's Craig Smith and Fraser Kane just turning together, and then a little further back, just short of maybe 20 metres back, the South Lanark swimmer Adam Donaghy still working through his 400 freestyle. Well, Clegg and Dalglish shake hands, have a little chat and a recover. In fact, in situations like this, I'd like to see the swimmer swim back another, you know, easy swim just to start the recovery process.
Yep, straight into swim down would be a good opportunity in this case, with still possibly another minute or so of the event or the race to run.
So Oliver Carter finishes 5:35 to Oliver, entered on a 5:54, so let's hope that's a massive PB for him on the 400. And across the pool for 5th place in this event, of course, in their category, in their swim, and it looks as though Craig Smith of Fife just going to touch out. Oh yeah, just 6:14, 6:15. Entered on a 6:30.
Some nice looking PBs there, Drew, which is fantastic. Some of these guys don't really get the opportunity to swim 400 long course in their particular categories, so it's a great opportunity for some of these younger swimmers to get in there. And
speaking of younger, that's 13-year-old Adam Donaghy completing it 6:38, entered on a 7:09, so super swim. Now they're allowing the swimmers from the multi-category heat to clear the pool. And we have 5 heats of the 400 this morning. Coming down to first appearance by Robbie Rennick in lane 4, heat 5. 25-year-old in his home pool, and also preparing for the World Championship trials and British Championships at the end of the month. As heat 1, a long wait, but ready now. Across the pool, Alistair Robertson in lane 1, Matthew Ray in 2, Martin McInnes in 3 for City of Glasgow. Robertson of Aberdeen and Ray of Newburn. Hamish Milne of Perth City, Callum Fowler of Coast, Callum Reid Warnder, Scott Jackson, City of Glasgow, and Fraser Gill of West Lothian. So lanes 1 to 8. No swimmer in lane 8. Fraser Gill not appearing this morning. So 400 freestyle. And what's the basic tactic on the 400, Ali?
well, I think there's obviously various ways to swim it, and Scott Jackson here in lane 7 looks as though he's decided that he's going to take it out nice and strong at the beginning and see if he can maybe hang on, but I suspect he's maybe just gone out a little too hard and he'll get hunted down through the pack. Although on the world stage, people are looking to control that first 200 and then start to progress on the third 100 and then finish it off in the back end. So a lot of control needed to conserve some of your energy towards the back end of the race. It allows you to apply that to the finish of the race. Crucial thing to be able to swim technically efficiently at the start of the race and then maintain that throughout. But Scott's taking it on positive, and he's hanging in there at the moment, coming in towards the end of the first 200.
Yeah, it's a classic, isn't it? You come out of training, you're coming for your championship swims, you're a bit excited, and you go into your race, and just all that adrenaline and motivation just fires you up too hard, and you just go out, it just needs to be a little bit too fast, and then you start paying later on. And just how accurate that, you know, the training regime and the pacing and the physiology is in the modern athlete.
And it just looks as though the rest of the pack is starting to come towards Scott, but he's still leading away.
Lane 2, the 16-year-old Matthew Ray of Newburn in that familiar orange and black hat. It's nice and easy, cutting down the lead as Scott Jackson just begins to look a bit ragged here at this stage in the swim, but massive lead he built up, so you know they're going to have to work to come and get him.
And Hamish Milne in the middle of the pool now from Perth City, he's just starting to break away, brother of Stephen Milne, so a little bit of background in the middle and distance events, and
yeah, it's
the
in
family.
the genes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So nice easy turn from Matthew across there in lane 2. Hamish working with a much higher tempo, hardly any legs at the back. The 400 starts to see a real variation in the technique of freestyle. Just that extra distance, of course, means that for some it puts a little bit of pressure on the leg kick, and it either disappears or it you know, does something slightly different from your classic, you know, strong six beat. At the top end, of course, we see them swimming 1500 with that all the way through, but at this stage, at this development, with these swimmers, you can see variation, and well, when you see the legs just trickling at the back, it takes you back.
And Scott Jackson here looking as though he's going to be making me eat my words.
Well, he's managed to stay strong. Looks delighted to get home in a 4:20. Entered on 4:24, and it's a 22:23 for second and third. A very close race for that at the end of the day. And results quickly confirmed. Scott Jackson, Matthew Ray, and Hamish Milne, 1, 2 and 3. And we're at the 4:20s after heat number 2. It's heat 2 of the event, but heat 1 of the main swims. So we have here Joe Steele with a 4:16 from South Aberdeen, the fastest time in the next group of swimmers. Well, good discipline, good control, good respect shown by swimmers in the water and up above. Nice discipline and control on the start. And all 10 swimmers going up on a line on this first 25. Daniel Fisher, North Lanark. Graham Brown, South Ayrshire. Johnson Shearer of City of Glasgow. And Thomas Slater all the way from the City of Canterbury Club group. Joe Steele, South Aberdeen. Craig Knight first. Anastasios Mitopoulos of Stirling. Will Swingham of East Lothian, Fraser Spooner of West Lothian, Henry McKenzie of Warner. That's your full lineup for heat number 2 of the men's 400.
And the pacing looks as though it's pretty even over this first 100. Joe Steele in lane number 4 just looks as though he's coming through to take the 100 metres. Looked fairly controlled over the first 50, which he'll be particularly pleased about. And would then like to start building his swim over the next 200 to 300 metres.
Now, part of the swim, of course, is good, even pacing, but working on that pace that you have set for your target time, or where your next development is, or in the case of people with future swims, it's maybe a goal swim where you're definitely trying to hit a particular pace, and that control is off hours of training, lots of meters, but more particularly just knowing how the body feels and the technique feels during the race pace. And that's what the championship does. It puts the training swims in the locker, brings out the race swimming, and the changes have got to be learned and adapted by the swimmer. Going through in 2:04, 64 on the second 100, Ali.
Yep, and so he looked particularly comfortable in the first 100, and he's still looking comfortable now. I think he's gone out quite strong, 2:04. His PB for 200, I think, is around about a 2:02, so he's not a million miles away from his personal best at 200, but I think the pleasing thing for his coach, Gary Patterson, will be that he's looking very positive and still very strong on this third 100.
Yeah, his target might be to keep it even now, just hold that. Entered on 4:16 off a 2:04.
Well,
he's got potential to go faster, hasn't he? Yeah.
We'd be a bit gutted if he wasn't going to PB off of that.
But again, I was saying there may be internal targets to the swim, to go out in 2:04, feel what it's like because you've never been there before, and then see what happens at the end and analyse that differently.
Indeed, and I know that he'd been at other meets trying out different tactics, and hopefully when he's coming to the Scottish Nationals, he'll be applying the tactic that actually works for him at this particular time of his career, because obviously as time goes on, he's going to have to develop different ways of swimming the race that will actually help him to win the race in the future.
So, well, I've made the comment over the years about the third quarter of the swim just being very tough psychologically, very tough physiologically, and we see that change with the swim, 66 on the third 100, but if you've not been out in 2:04, then that's the kind of learning and the kind of information and data you take away. So Joe Steele, 3:44 with 50 to go. Still not quite as strong, just a little bit more, shorter, quicker tempo, trying to get the breath in, that little bit earlier. A nice swim into second place from lane 3. Thomas Slater of Canterbury, and the rest of the field fighting for it as Steele hits in 4:16.5. Well, we know what he can take away from that swim, Ali.
Indeed.
So the last swimmer, Henry McKenzie, finishes that meet. All fed in, confirmed. Steele on 4:16.5. It was Slater from Canterbury 4:20, and Brown, Graham thereof, on 4:21. So very solid start. Nothing too exciting, of course, but now moving into 3, 4, and 5, first of the seeded heats. And the second member of the Milne family appearing in lane 4. Your full lineup: Scott MacArthur of Stirling in 0, Ross Woolley of Warnder in 1, Anthony Ryan next door to Chris Lowther, both from Dumfries, Stephen Milne in 4 with a 3:55.8 entry, Suleiman Butt of Aberdeen, the talented youngster, lane 5, Adam Hollows of Derwentside, 6, 7 has Donny Price of South Main, 8 Daniel McGregor of Warnder, and David McGregor of Dumfries down here in lane 9 right in front of us.
And so as we would expect, Stephen Milne going out nice and strong on that first 100 and beginning to dominate the race. Suleiman Butt, who made the qualifying standard for the European Youth Olympics later in the season. I'll be surprised if he doesn't get selected for that team. It's good to see him swimming a range of events, and he's keeping in contact there with Stephen, which will be encouraging for him, and hopefully he'll come strong again on the second half. The two Dumfries boys at the side of Stephen, normally very controlled the first 200 and looking to swim strong second halves.
So Solomon Butt still a junior in terms of swimming. You might like to give that explanation.
Well, in terms of junior within Scotland, you have to be 16 towards the end of the year, so you have to be 16 in that year. So he's obviously meets that criteria and has broken a number of Scottish junior records already this season. So he's obviously been in good form throughout. His training will be focused towards the back end of the season and hopefully that European Youth Olympics, where we'll see some more record-breaking performances.
Now, what you're seeing here with Stephen out in a very, very strong and unchallengeable position is the pacing and the difference between the sort of age group development, late teens, and a really strong 19-year-old with the talent, the technique, the background, the pacing. Just wonderful, almost 9-10 meters off the wall. Good use of the momentum going in, the technique of the turn, the drive out, just waiting to the right moment to kick into the stroke. Nice tempo on the stroke, good balance. Really looks comfortable, as if he just lives in the water. The sign of a lot of the top swimmers is they just look as if they're in the right environment. 2:57.
Well,
So 61's on the way through.
Stephen is certainly one of those, Drew. He absolutely loves swimming as a sport, and his coach, Anne Dixon, struggles to keep him out of the water half the time, but anybody watching on the stream should be looking at his work off the wall. He has a fantastic body position, streamline body position coming off. He's, well, look there, 7 straight off at the back of the 400, and he doesn't do it slowly, he does it quickly. Fantastic there, high tempo, probably a little inconsistent on his length and technique there, something he's been working on, trying to get that consistency there, but looking strong at the back end of this race.
Yeah, you can see the right hand drops in short when his head's in the centre, and then when it comes back after breathing it seems to be longer. Well, picking it up into the finish, holding a nice 60 point on the way home, and a 3:57 finish. 3:55.8 the entry time, second place, well into the 4 minutes for the 400. The 4 minute, of course, a major barrier for the developing swimmer to break for the 400 freestyle, and that's all about controlling the pace and the background of the mix of endurance and speed. So Milne 3:57, good swim from the first of the seeded heats. Then we have Chris Lowther of Dumfries and Solomon Butt ending up in third place with that 4:11, entered on 4:02. Heat number 4 then with the starter. No swimmer in lane number 1. So Ross Gale ran 96 in 0, then across to lane 2, Daniel Lim of Warner. He was a busy boy yesterday. Stuart McIntosh of Coast in lane 3. Joshua Walsh of the University of Stirling group in lane 4. Second fastest entry time of 3:54.98. Cameron Smith, Edinburgh University. Callum Baxter, North Lanark. Jack McComish, South Lanark. Mark Deans, City of Glasgow, and Ewan Govan of Mulgai and Bearsden. So you probably wouldn't have picked it up with Jack McComish. He's now so proficient at that start. deaf swimmer, but very experienced at dealing with that particular challenge at the beginning.
And really a battle of making sure you get to the finals this evening. Stuart McIntosh taking it out real strong from City of Aberdeen swim team. Stuart. So there's a range of the endurance events, 15, the 400 medley, the 400 freestyle. So certainly in good shape at the moment. Probably considered being a bit of a later bloomer, if you like. He's good technically on a number of his strokes as well, and so just his physical development just continuing now as he gets to the back end of his teens and moves into his 20s. So still time for him yet, but it's Josh Walsh in the middle there from Stirling University. Probably more renowned for the 200 freestyle, so I'm 149 a couple of weeks ago at the East District Grand Prix there. So has got some good speed, but not quite sure what his background is like at the moment.
Well, this is a good setup for the three lead swimmers, because there's nothing better than having somebody on your shoulder to swim with, race against, use the pace and motivate. It's all there. So the top three swimmers, and then as Ali said, there's the extra challenge of getting into the final when maybe you weren't expected to get into the final, but you see a door opening and a chance to have a double swim on the 400 on day 2 of the Scottish Gas National Open Championships. Remember, you can tweet us, of course, with the hashtag SGN13Live, and we had some great comments and wonderful compliments yesterday, and it was super support from all over the world. Walsh and McIntosh just drifting a little bit on that significant third 100, 3:01, and it's Cameron Smith who made the move, but Walsh beginning to cover it, of course, on the penultimate turn.
And Cameron from Edinburgh University certainly puts the work in, and he seems to have had a bit of a return to form this season, and renowned for the 1500 freestyle previously, but dropped around about the events in the 100 and the 200, but certainly paced this really well and has come strong in the last 100.
Well, coming off the wall, that leg kick came in very, very early from Cameron Smith, just making sure that if there's to be a catch-up, it's not him, it's got to be Josh Walsh, and he's responding in kind. Good race to the finish. It's pride, it's place in the final, it's everything in this last 25. There seems to be plenty left there, Ali.
Yeah.
Plenty left.
Yeah.
Both swimmers. And it's Walsh who's just got that little bit extra. 1/10 of a second. 4:3.06 against 4:3.16 between 1 and 2.
Regardless of the speed, Drew, it's always great to see people having a bit of a race, a bit of a battle towards the back end.
Yeah, that's really what we come for at championship swimming, and for such a long time it's been a case of when you're really good in the top 3-5 swimmers in the event, that you know we've seen them just coasting through the swim, and we're trying to eradicate that across British swimming, and I'm sure that Scotland picks up that particular baton as well as we look at the final heat of the men's 400. Across the pool then, 0 Ross McDonald Wren, 96 Stephen Gibb of Dundee City Aquatics, Ewan Murgatroyd Dumfries, Tom Howley, City of Newcastle, had some battles yesterday of course in the finals. Robbie Rennick, first appearance, the City of Glasgow 25-year-old in lane 4. Martin Kremen of Stirling won the 1500 yesterday. Felix Gifford of Coast, Angus Barr South Lanark, Matthew Anderson of Warrender, and Ross Hughes of North Ayrshire.
And so Felix Gifford in 6 from City of Aberdeen, renowned for taking out the races strong at the beginning. and he's certainly done that here. With Robbie Rennick and Martin Kremen a lot more controlled over that first 100. .56.08 on the first 100. I think he swam a 54 point yesterday in the 100 individual. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this race is going to go.
Indeed. Well, there are swimmers who still like to do that suicide swim, you know. But the way he's built, smaller, powerful package, very, very high tempo swim. Almost can't wait to get the next arm up front. It's just, you know, almost like a little age group swim. He is 19, but, well, that's the way he likes to swim. Robbie Rennick much longer in the stroke distance. Beautiful feel on the water. And you can just sense that, you know, the kind of tiger in the jungle approach, you know, just calmly approaching the target. He went through in 57 point, hits 159 on the way through just to take over the lead.
Robbie Rennick looking really smooth in the water at the moment. I think he'll just be controlling this heat and looking to get himself into the final and like to put in a good performance time-wise in the final. But Angus Barr in lane 7 there from South Lanarkshire. A young athlete coming through quite strong at the moment. Swam 16.23, 15 under freestyle, so not quite so good
We
yesterday.
made him famous yesterday for losing his cap during the swim.
Well, these youngsters have got to learn to cope with everything, haven't they? So.
Well, you want these things to happen when they're young, that's for sure. Those kind of interferences. So the final heat, it's seeded, it's starting to pick up the arrowhead as Martin Kremen puts in a, you know, using Robbie Rennick as a pacemaker for his swim yesterday in the 1500. Very same stroke, but you can just see the tempo is up, slightly shorter in the range of stroke, but you know, he's on the 400, so he knows that he's just got to move into a different gear. Rennick still using that very, very powerful and effective leg kick to give him a base through the center to reach forward comfortably. Turning, not quite together. Rennick with just that little bit of edge, and then kicks off to say, look, don't bother me, you know, I'm on my own track here.
Well, one of the things he's really improved is his underwater work there, and he was 8 meters off the wall, which in days gone by I don't think that would have been happening. So he's clearly been working on that skill and recognizes as it's something that is going to help him on the world stage.
Well, that's what we've been saying over the years, that those underwater skills that we see so elegantly done and powerfully done and critically done by the likes of the American swimmers, we've got to transfer into our programs. So absolute necessity now. 4:01, comfortable for Robbie Rennick. 3:47 entry, of course, and the record holder for 400 finishing off the job. 3:46.7 the record. So Kremen taking second place, and Howley came through in 4:06, and Angus Barr with a 4:09. That was a nice fourth place for the youngster.
Yeah.
Again, the results on the board, the swimmers away. Just quite nice to get a summary, but maybe a little bit of technical problems in presenting that. It wasn't yesterday, so small apologies, but it's always nice to see who makes it through, but not today, not this morning. We'll give them a shake up in the break and see if we can get that fixed. Always nice to, you can't remember them all, especially when it's a 10-lane final.
classification presentations now for the 400 freestyle.
They don't have a final, so a little presentation. No need to rush. We'll wait on you.
And that's Regan Doig taking gold.
And I don't know Helen Murray's designation within the organisation, but
Life member of Scottish Swimming, former past president
yes,
of Scottish
well,
Swimming.
I know her history and her record, and as one of my team managers on the Scottish Youth Programme, I know her very well, but I don't know her present designation. We haven't been briefed on that, but
Helen is the East District Swimming Convener as it stands at the moment, but the history of Scottish Swimming and Scottish Amateur Swimming Associations coming through there now. Hope Gordon taking a silver there in the 400 free as well. And bronze going to Beth Johnston.
And on the male side, as they stride forward, looking as if this is a real task, job of work.
And so Fraser Kane from North Ayrshire taking the bronze. Robert Dalgleish from West Lothian taking the silver. And the gold going to James Clegg from East Lothian with his 4:30 odd swim this morning. 4:31.63 swimming this morning.
Thanks, Sally, and well done to all swimmers. Just a little break in the programme to deliver those medals. They don't have an evening final, of course. We move now to the women's 100 breaststroke. We're going down the 100s, 200s and into the 50s. So a little bit quicker in the programme, a little bit probably more exciting racing for you this morning on the day 2 of the Scottish Gas National Open Championships. Remember, you can tweet us, SGN13 Live, for the, your little messages and your thoughts. And there's an Instagram competition. Top 10 pictures will be put out to Facebook, and the vote will come in to see who wins at hashtag SGN13 Pix, P-I-X, as the multi-category 100 breaststroke gets underway with Amy McFarlane of Motherwell in 2, Erin Davis of Delting in 3, Regan Doig back in the action, the 15-year-old from Perth in 4, Lara Ferguson of Carnegie in 5, and April McKee of Wren 96 in lane 6. 100 breaststroke then.
And so it's the young versus the older, I guess, in this race here, when you've got 12-year-old young Erin Davis there from Delting with 33-year-old Lara Ferguson, super experience within Lara's career in the pool, been training away there with Carnegie Swimming Club. And it's Erin Davis from Delting in Shetland up there. Lorraine Gifford training there, just new in the scene in this event.
Well, see the high turnover, not quite the extension and drive off the legs, so they've got to work very, very hard on that shorter stroke cycle. You can see the background, the training, the dedication and the effort to take it forward. A lift of the hands and a touch of the pad, like patting your friend on the back. That was lovely. 1:28.66 from Davis, a 1:29.11. And just waiting on the remainder, completing their 100 breaststroke. Good finish there from McKee. Positive registering of the finish. And out there in lane 2, Amy McFarlane just completes that multi-category heat. 1:28.6 then to Erin Davis in that victory swim. Doig with a 1:29.11. Ferguson in third place with 1:31.78. So clearing the pool at the beginning of the...
And a little DQ in that last race there. April Mackay in lane 6, and unfortunately a wee DQ.
So heat number 1 then. Again, 5 heats of the short 100 breaststroke. Lane 0 to 8 complete. In lane 4 it's Katie McIntyre, the 14-year-old South Lanarkshire swimmer, with a 1:19.7 to her credit. A good start, but well, going with her, Lauren Doughty of Dundee City, and they're the early leaders in 5-2. Francesca Christopherson of South Aberdeen in the mix at the early stages as they go out quite hard for the first 50. Some very stylised breaststroke out there this morning. Heat 1 then. Let's see where they can get to in there. 1:19 out to about a 1:21 in this field.
Already we can see the range of styles in this event. The variety across the pool of how people are swimming the breaststroke.
It's a low driving breaststroke in lane 5 there from Francesca. You see a very high lift from lane 4, Katie McIntyre, the 14-year-old. And everything looks very, very stylised, but those hands are pushed into the water at the chest. A lot of effort to do that. Sure, that could be lengthened out with a little bit, because there's a good strong kick on her. First place though, going to Christopherson of South Aberdeen. McIntyre in second place with a 1:20.99, and a clear third, Doughty on 1:21.53, the Dundee City swimmer, making third place in her heat. Just about on entry times. Couple of slight disappointments there as heat number 2 gets ready to start over the top. Erin Robertson, the 14-year-old, again in the middle of the pool, 1:17.9. The field drops to a 1:19 entries. So, of course, these entry times, some are short course, some are long course, Ali.
Yeah, that's right, for the Scottish National Championships. Just due to the number of opportunities that people get to swim long course, not that many around in terms of up here with pools being built and refurbed, etc., that sort of thing.
And how does that affect the swimmer?
Well, it's pretty difficult. I think most coaches will have make sure that their swimmers have short course and long course personal bests, and so they can use those as their goals going forward. I think that's quite important, that we recognise it's two completely different types of races. But what happens here is when people enter the races, they enter the time short course, convert it to a long course, which of course they haven't actually swum in a long course pool, which is a big difference.
Yeah, the short course, of course, 25-metre length pools, the long course 50-metre pools. The extra turns, of course, means that the short course times are that bit faster, and it's all about translating the different experiences and building on that. But a 1:17.95 is the first time. That's just under the entry time for Erin in lane 4. Jackson taking second place. Olivia from South Lanark, 1:19.56. And again, it was 2 1:20, 3 1:20s, 4 1:20s. Very crowding in, and the hundreds separated them in that heat. So 1 and 2 out of the way, gone, consigned to the history the first of the seeded heats sees Kerry Buchan from Stirling University, now 26 years of age, a 109.71 entry time. Swimming up against the likes of Hannah Suter, Emma Chittleberg, Ruth Gordon, Hayley Monteith, Cara Hanlon, Kirsten McKinley, Beth McFarlane and and Robin Flockhart in lane 9, all the way from Eyemouth.
And so it's Kerry Buchan, University of Stirling there in lane 4. Been around the breaststroke scene for a while now, but coming back to some pretty good form recently. 2:29 last week, long course in the East District Grand Prix, 69 point there as well. But young Ruth Gordon, Cara Hanlon from Highland, look as though she's putting in a bit of a challenge at the moment.
Buchan just starting to show that 200 background as she gets to the 75 mark, just starts to stretch away from the field. It's a nice clean looking stroke, it's powerful. As you say, she's been around, it seems forever on Scottish breaststroke. So a 1:11 then heat swim from Kerry, and of course with the modern competitions going heats and semis and finals, it's a unique opportunity to go heats and then finals in the evening. A lot of rest there available to the top swimmers, and you just kind of expect a little more from them. O'Donnell 1:13.2 at the finish for second place. Heat number 4 then. Corey Scott at 1:09.16, the second fastest entry time in lane 4. Scott from Edinburgh University. Lauren Sutherland in the field, Kirsty Hunter, Eleanor Spencer, Emma Bird. Scott, then Emily Jones back in the mix. Raquel Matosh back in the second swim this morning. Leanna Marshall, Terry Johnson, Kimberly Mackay. Very strong start up the first 25 from Scott. Is that the way she normally swims, Ali?
She has traditionally swum that high rhythm breaststroke, trying to get out fast on the first 50, qualified for the Delhi Commonwealth Games on the 50 breaststroke, so it's something that she's focused on. But I know that in training she's been trying to just lengthen things out a little bit so that she can be a little more efficient on the 100 and the 200 as well. But she seems to be returning back to the high turnover. But
just as you were speaking, my mind was just going and saying, well, there's no lengthening happening here. Second place, clear position for Emily Jones in 5. Nice and high, nice and clean. And you can just see the very powerful, maybe heavier swimmer, very short, usually powerful 50 sprinter, just struggling a little bit at the end there to come into the 1:11 mark, and that's what we had in the previous heat. But Kerry Buchan looked much smoother, much easier at the end of that 100. Jones in second place with a 1:12.6 recorded, and third place it goes to Bird in 1:14. So very clean 1, 2 and 3 from the penultimate heat, and a disqualification for Mackay. No, Flockhart in, no, it is Mackay, isn't it? Yeah, sorry. Kimberly Mackay in lane 9 there, picking up a DQ. Always a sad moment as we come to the final heat then, and the fastest entry of 1:08.72 by Catherine Johnson. She's in lane 4. Shona Mackey of West Lothian in 0. Orla Adams in again for Geary, lane 1. Samantha Caulfield of Carnegie in 2. Tuttle of Coast in 3. Johnson in 4. Strachan of Edinburgh University in 5. McClellan 6. Lucy Howarth 7. Kate Laverick of Warrender in 8, and Robin Patrick of South Lanark in 9. Centre of the pool, the action. Lane 3, Caitlin Tuttle losing a little bit of the race pace on the first 50, as we see the turn, the long pull out in lane 4 by Catherine.
And Catherine Johnson, the Scottish record holder on the 50 breaststroke, and so she's always going to go out quick. And just trying to maintain her form down this last 25. And so if you're tuning in tonight to watch the finals, I think you'll find that it's quite a tight and close final and a really interesting race.
Well, into the last 5, just making a nice finish, but again, short and powerful, not long and beautiful as you sometimes see the top breaststrokers really holding on to that long drive, and even in the 100, even when it gets desperate and tight and very competitive. 109.53 then to the victor. It's a very positive lead going into the final. Strachan 113.32, and Orla Adams there with a 115, sorry, for third place. The talented Geary youngster, just covering all the events and still maintaining a high success rate. 100 breaststroke then complete. Results cleared. The backstrokers are in. It's the men's backstroke, the heat number 1, the multi-category event again on the 100 backstroke. Lanes 1 to 8 filled with Adam Scott, Fraser Kane, Robert Dalgleish, Craig Rodgie, Kieran Jardine, Craig McLean, Oliver Carter and Adam Donaghy. Some of these guys out of the 400 now into the 100 backstroke. A busy morning for them, and a wide age range, 13-year-olds down in 7 and 8 out to the 24-year-old Edinburgh University student Craig Rodgie in lane 4, leading at the moment.
And Paralympian Craig Rodgie from Edinburgh University leading his A3. He's showing really well at the moment, very positive in his racing. Some a lovely 100 freestyle yesterday, 56 points, Scottish record as well, and a good second PB, so I think he's in pretty good form at the moment.
Well, you're getting the high turnover, but not all gripping the water in the best technical sense, but a lot of good effort, good conditioning, a nice competitive attack. 107.26, entered on 105.4, and now coming through to the 6th place. A very dramatic finish there for Carter. And over there in lane 1, just with, now we talk about interpretation of style, and that's just great to see within the laws of the sport, and you know, taking on board the challenges and still managing to come in a 141 100 backstroke. Remember, the backstroke, the weakest event, you're in the supine position, you're in a weak mechanical position. Very hard to generate the same strength and power as the prone events. So taking on those difficulties as well as the event just moves in. It's 107.26 confirmed, Jardine 10.1 and Dalgleish 111.9 in that multi-category swim. We move to the men's 100 backstroke. No swimmers in 4, 5 and 7 at the moment, so it's a big absence. That's our first major absence. The 100 backstroke then, a good chance to have a look at this. It was 50 yesterday, so good chance to look at the peculiar start. I keep wondering if somebody will invent something, Ali, to help the backstrokers in the way that they've managed to innovate the blocks for the normal standing start.
Things have obviously changed and progressed over the years. You'll remember the old days of making sure your toes were under the water and all that sort of stuff. So things will move on, but you're probably quite right. It will change, and somebody will invent something that will eventually be incorporated into the sport.
I'm wondering about a little movable ledge in the middle of the time pad, you know, that retracts when the summer's gone, you know. So you can see that the tempo of the multi-category was so much higher. You know, they're having to make a lot of effort to compensate for all sorts of reasons. And here on 100 backstroke, you're seeing some very easy swims. A beautiful long stroke there over in lane number 1. Thomas Farrell is deceptive. It's a 65 long course, but you know, you just maybe want them to crank it up a little bit. And you know, it's heat number 1, so basically you're written off from making the final. So you just got to maybe go for it. Make this a really, really powerful commitment to your competitive swim.
Yeah.
Maybe doing them a little bit of injustice. It's the difference between the visual and just how good technically it is in the water. But a 65.2 was the first. McClay with 65.7 was a close second, and Andrews with a 66.4 in third place to get this event underway. Again, 5 heats from the morning program. Second heat ready. Referee clearing results and Summers. I've seen them start side by side in some major competitions when it's busy, with the Summer just on the lane rope and the next backstroker going out off the pad, but clearing the pool on this occasion. So full house on heat number 2. Fastest entry, Rory Kirkwood, City of Glasgow in a 1:03.56, and some electric starting there in lane 2.
Yeah.
Rory Lamont, West Dumbarton. Tell me about that, Ali.
Well, he's coached by Jimmy Orr at West Dumbartonshire, and his primary focus is the 50 backstroke. So he's clearly got some pretty good starting skills there as well, and he's quite quick into his stroke as well. So a lot of power, and he comes up. I'm not sure whether he was past the 15 there. It was pretty close, so we'll have to wait and see how that went.
We've got a difficult angle from our position, I think, but certainly using the underwater, which is something we haven't seen a lot of in the first day. Getting a little bit close to that anti-turb lane on the right-hand side, but well, his entry time is 1:04.6. How are you interpreting that, Director?
Well, he's got a lot of speed in the first 50, and he's managed to get himself out. We all knew they can go faster than 1:04, so not surprised that he can.
Is that his best? Is that his personal best? 1:04.
It's probably the fastest swim he's done this season. Yeah.
Get out of here! That man is not training properly. That's not right. 64 to a 59 back. It's unheard of. That'll be in your next newsletter. It's got to be.
We'll all be learning from Coach Orr.
Rory Lamont then, a 59 point. Well, that's certainly throwing a cat amongst the pigeons, and that's good. That's what sometimes a meet or an event needs. As we move to the first of the seeded heats, James Thompson, Edinburgh University, 56.7, and there are 4 men under the minute. Well, they've just seen a little challenge thrown down for one of those 10 vital places in tonight's final. So I'm sure we'll see a little bit quicker swimming from here on in the 100 backstroke.
With Rory Lamont in the last heat going 59 point there. He is a 25 point 50 backstroke to 5 high, so we'll probably expect him to be going a little bit quicker than 59 eventually anyway.
Oh, see, we've quickly dropped to 64. Yes, that's what happens in sport. You're only as good as your last fastest swim. Good racing now. In lane 5, it's Craig Bowman putting in a challenge. The Carnegie Summer really wanting this. He's hungry. He's seen that 59. He's responding. He's entered on a 58. and he's hitting the 60-second mark in the heat. So again, a 58 man coming, putting in a 60 when he knows that he's really got to win the heat to make certain of a final place. His good response, but a little bit away from his best time, so quite important. We're checking the results, going through a disqualification. Sadly to report for James Thompson, one of the favourites, with a 56.7. Well, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, Rudyard Kipling said, and that's what he's going to have to do from this championships. 2 heats to go. Thompson leaving a final place open. So Angus Barr back in action in lane 0 in the next heat. This is heat number 4, and it's Andrew McGovern of City of Aberdeen, a 56.24 in lane 4 that we're looking at as the fastest of this group. Well, Jack Ness of City of Aberdeen, he's a tall guy, great big feet, right out the water, almost up at his shoulders there. That's quite a lift for a big man. It's that difficulty of the backstroke start. And well, talk about high tempo, a real bouncing backstroke there in lane 4. Coming to the wall, nice and quick over. Now, let's see what the underwater's like. It's about 10 metres off the wall for the head to break, and then back into this very strong stroke. I'm sure he's a very powerful, you know, upper body swimmer.
He is. He's a big lad, and he's certainly working hard on his strength development. At the moment, he's got a long way to go to really maximise that, but he's getting there.
And almost casual at the end there, knowing that he's done the job in the first 60 metres. Saving everything for the final, obviously. McGovern, 58.2 was the finish time. So 59s, 58s leading the way. A 59.6 from Shaw in second place, and a 1 minute .28 for McCafferty to take the third slot off that heat number 4. In the 5th heat, Daniel Tiffin of Coast, Alistair Miley of Geary in 1, Evans in 2 for Bolton Metro, Greg Birrell of First in 3, Ryan Bennett, the fastest entry time, Stirling University swimmer at 52.71 entry. It'll be interesting to see just what he produces after that slight mixture of results in the previous 4 heats. Jack Ness of City of Aberdeen, Fraser Spooner, West Lothian, Chris McComb, East Lothian, Stephen Gibb, Dundee City, and Joe Lynch will be in this. No Summer in 8, so Gibb is out, and just misread the start list, putting Jack Ness into the previous heat. It must have been Callum Shaw that had those big feet out the water. Sorry, Jack. Final heat, men's 100 back. Well, Rory Lamont's 59 point from heat 2 certainly shook the pack of cards in the 100 backstroke swimmers. A really good start and transition in lane 4 from Ryan.
Yep, showing some fantastic underwater skills there. Great transition into the stroke, and nice high tempo on the backstroke. Really comfortable, relaxed on it as well.
Yeah, there's no force swimming there. It just looks smooth. And that's one of the definitions of top performance. It should be smooth and error-free. Looking good. Nice build-up. Gets to the 75. You can just discern a little bit of easing back. Knows he's done the job. Obviously the start and the first 50 is so important in the race. And of course, with all that leeway available to him from a 52 point, He's just slotted in that 57 quite comfortably. But I'm a great believer in rehearsal, Ali, and if you keep rehearsing badly like that, or well off performance, then that's what you will do.
I think that's always the challenge for coaches in this kind of situation. If he's going to go to the British Championships in a couple of weeks' time, he's going to have to make sure that he's working that heat
Exactly.
to get through to the semi-final and then into the final thereafter. I think you can do this occasionally, but you need to be aware of what you're doing, as otherwise it becomes habit thereafter.
Yeah, we've made the point about you know, if you rehearse slow, then you swim slow, or as many of your Scottish rising stars say, you know, if you always do what you always done, then you'll always get what you always got, or words to that effect. Rearrange the following the preceding words into a better form phrasing. Now 200 backstroke, different pace, women, and we have heat number 1. We have 5 swimmers in the field. 200 backstroke, one of the events that just was stagnant for so long in Scottish and British swimming, and then there was a real drop down in the high level performances, but it's still a very difficult event. Katrina Fowley of North Ayrshire in 2, Serena Rimmer of Southport, lane 3, Brooke Gillis, Carnegie in 4, Cara Smith, Stirling, and Son Breslin Stirling in 5 and 6 respectively. Their entry times round about the 2:29, so first barrier is crashed, the 2:30s, but again some may well be converted times, especially because they're 14, 15 years of age, and you know the opportunity for long course swims not that many, as Ali was alluding to. So you can see that again the tendency is to just get comfortable. That's the problem with the 200 backstroke, in my view. You get comfortable at a certain rhythm, and you know if that is a little bit slower than the pace that you should be going at, it's very difficult to pick it up. You know, you see freestylers, you know, really accelerating, and breaststrokers change tempo, and butterflyers, well, they're all out mainly in their events. Hard to pick it up of butterfly too, but backstroke's so difficult to just change gear and you know, and push the turbo.
I think also as well, when you're swimming in the long course pool, it kind of adds to that factor as well. There's no other turns to actually get your rhythm back up there again, which is a wee bit tricky when you're trying to get the stroke rate up. So.
And because it's slower, you're a long time you know, where the mind can drift away and not focus on your swim.
Some nice Twitter messages coming through comparing you to Andy Gray and me to Richard Key. So
how dare they? How dare they?
Thanks at Ian McCallum.
Well, which Ian McCallum is that?
I think it's the one we all know.
Now, the Ian McCallum I know, my summer is in New Zealand, so that would be some tweet.
Well, that might not be the one we all know then.
So heat number 1 then gets underway with 5 heats. And of course, we've got to clear the pool for the backstroke, and somebody needs to do a Rory Lamont on this, I think, very early on.
Doing a Lamont.
Doing a Lamont, yes. 64 to 59. Still thinking about that, you know. The guy's been hiding. Well, that's how difficult the start is. You can see in lane 7 there and 8, they just almost falling off the blocks. It's just so difficult. You know, the stainless steel is wet and slippy. The pad is vertical. It's just such a difficult exercise. You've got to pull in, pull up, hold, have the strength, and then drive off that pad and release your hands at the right moment so that you don't haul the body and let it fall into the water. Hands have got to be very quick off the vertical stainless steel grab rail.
Otherwise you've sunk. But you're absolutely right, Drew. That's a particularly difficult skill to learn and then to apply to the level that you want it. But it's something I know coaches around the country try to work on where it's possible. Not everybody has pads in their pool all the time, and so therefore the conditions change all the time, and therefore the learning changes all the time. So
Just
it's,
can't spend the time there, otherwise you're taking it away from perhaps slightly bigger factors. But well, nice little swim in lane 9. Erin Holmes from South Lanark taking the victory on the 100 stage at a 1:11. Now let's just see what the conditioning's like. A 1:11 out. She's entered on a 2:29. So you can double the 1:11. That's a 2:22. There will be some drop off. Now, will that drop off be 8 seconds to take it to 2:29? And that would mean that the endurance on the stroke is not quite there, and has a lot to offer in terms of adapting and focusing the training program.
and there we see young Whittingham just popping straight up at 1.5, 2 meters off the wall there, just losing the skills as the swim moves on, as the fatigue sets in.
So the tempo relatively slow. It's quite high in lane 6. Obviously got a lot left, but she's back in 5th place. Charlie Cavins have warned her, and Whittingham's just going to come through and snick it from young Erin Holmes, who's done a very good job in lane 9. 2:28.4 looks like a personal best in whichever way you look at it. And some tired drifting in swimmers at the end. Whittingham 2:27.24, that's confirmed. Holmes on 2:28, and Phillips was the 3rd place with a 2:29.3. So a lot of swimmers there drifting off the entry times. But again, if they're the first perhaps proper long course swim, then that's what you would expect, because it is a very, very different experience. And generally speaking, the age grouper will go a bit slower on that occasion, and then once they get long course experience, bring it down.
Yeah, for definite. It can go one of two ways, can't it? You maintain the drop, or you just struggle a little bit to convert the swim.
So now to the business end, seeded heats. The 22-year-old Avramova from Ealing loves to come to this event. And here she is in the 100 back. Lane 4, just slightly better starting. Remember, the backstrokers have 15 meters available. Nobody near that, of course. You need the power on the butterfly leg kick, you need the training, you need the tempo, and you need to have the practice and the judgment just to come up very close to the 50-meter mark. So nice long strokes in the center of the pool. Remember, it's a 200, so first 50 will be quicker because of the start and of course the adrenaline flowing, and then in the middle of the swim, settling down to whatever pace you can hold or you're targeting. Can't really look for your opponents and work off them. It's all about your swim, I think, in the 200. So seeded heats, arrowhead formation, expected victory coming from centre of the pool, and it's setting up to be like that at the halfway mark. Everybody checking what the split time will be, the rollover, the drive, and you can see there even the leader only getting 5.5 meters from the wall. 66.75 to all you statisticians out there looking for the split time.
And Avramova Bulgarian Olympian, trains down in London at Ealing with Dave Heathcock. And
Is he still going?
I think he is. I think he is. But probably more renowned for the 50 and the 100 Avramova. So certainly showed her skills off the first start, but just gradually reducing there. But you could tell just the different physicality of her. You know, she's bigger, she's stronger, stroke is longer.
Yeah.
You know, and young Chelsea Lawson there, one of the developing Scottish athletes, who's been swimming quite well over the 200 this season. You know, you can tell the difference straight away between the senior athlete and the developing age grouper as well. So, and it's
But
that transition that makes the.
It's a
the
nice
difference.
strong finish from Lawson. I mean, quite small, quite low in the water, but you're right. And that's what we see from, you know, time immemorial. A good big un will beat a good small un, as they say. There are the few exceptions. And 2:17.8, the lead time. Nice finish, 2:19.3 for Lawson. Got a 2:15 entry time to her credit. In second place, 2:20.5, a clear third from Jennifer King of North Ayrshire. So we're seeing a 2:17 start. Remember that the first of the seeded heats has just the added pressure. They don't know how the event is developing rather, and they've just got to make sure that they put in a very positive swim, so that you know, they don't get pushed out of the final. Pressure less here at Tollcross with the 10-lane final, but nevertheless you've got to keep thinking like that. If you're put into that first of the seeded heats as an athlete, then you've got to make sure that you do the job there. Because you can be sure that those who see any slip, they're going to come to get you. So long underwater, but no extra edge from lane 4, but look very clean and neat from Kirsty Simpson of Dundee City. Nice, easy start. In lane 5, Lucy Hope working very hard. Again, one of the young rising stars of Scottish swimming from the best group, the Borders Elite Swim Team. Nice clean entry, good technician. A lot of potential.
Indeed, and Lucy will be heading out to the European Junior Championships this year, swam very well in March. Swimming freestyle and backstroke, and interestingly the 50 fly at the European Juniors, so quite well ranked. And Megan Briggs also in lane 3. She'll also be heading out to the Euro Juniors.
That's good. Very high, Ren 96. Karen Reid, South Ayrshire in 1. Lauren Gilks, City of Glasgow. Then you got Briggs, Simpson, Hope, Emily Grant, who swam well earlier this morning, Abby Houston, Dumfries, Orla Adams. Well, she's a real busy programme. It's almost the copy of Hannah Miley's approach. Maybe that's down to Patrick putting out the same programme for somebody of a similar set of talents. And Sarah Donnelly of Carnegie in lane 9, but Lucy Hope putting in a very consistent performance over this 200 through in 141s. We saw 42 for Avramova, so we'll just see how strong the finish is. 2:17, and just bringing it home. Nice clean entry from Simpson, still in 4, but the touch and the victory in 2:16.3. That's always good to see. If you checked out the 142 and the 2:16, the 2:17 and the 1:41, 2:16. You know, you're just putting in a little psychological edge there and saying, well, I'm just copy the swim, but I'm going a little bit faster. And, you know, nice to see that that kind of challenge and response to make sure, good professional with a small p approach to the competition and her sport.
Yeah, very positive swim there from Lucy. I think that's probably a season's best in the 200 backstroke, and certainly moving in the right direction. Always looks to me as though she's quite relaxed in the water and looks very comfortable. And I think that's something that she's learned and developed over the years that she's been in the water. She's coached by Alex Jordan down in the borders. I know he's particularly keen on her swimming a range of events, but she's certainly looking in pretty good shape as well and looking after herself.
So we come to heat number 5. And Hannah Miley, who would have been in lane 5 and not appearing for the 200 backstroke. Of course, the 200 medley, first event. And we know that Hannah is preparing for the world trials and working through this particular championship. And I just had a quick word with her father and coach Patrick this morning, and he just felt that you know, she was even just a little bit more fatigued than he would have liked, and she would have expected, they would have expected at this stage. And he is talking about just maybe resting a little, or maybe even just getting away from the swimming environment, maybe doing something a little different, just to give that little bit of psychological boost. Anyway, without the 200 backstroke in our programme, it leaves it to Charlotte McKenzie from the first group. 17-year-old, 2:13. And at the halfway mark, going through in a 66.2. So very similar to the previous seeded heats.
And there's Charlotte just having a sneaky look at the clock there to see what she was going through and trying to control this heat swim. Certainly with Hannah not being in the event, although I think there would have been a challenge from some of the younger swimmers to her on this particular one. There seems to be 3 or 4 young Scottish backstrokers just coming through nicely, but Charlotte is one of those, a 2:13, 200 long course backstroker, so and in particularly good form, but looks fairly controlled this morning, and I think we'll be looking for some good racing tonight.
Well, sorry.
I was just saying that she's got Laura Dawson there as well. Laura now training in the States, but it's great to see her back and swimming reasonably well. Swam quite well on the fly yesterday, just trying to pick up some long course times, clearly in the States, not doing a lot of long course racing.
No.
And
short course yards, and then maybe a few short course meters events as they head towards the summer programme. And of course, with the collegiate break at this stage, difficult to stay over there. And you want to come home anyway and see all your friends and folks, and come back to Scotland and swim in the championships. 2:18.2 then to Charlotte McKenzie in her heat swim.
And Kathleen Dawson there in 2:23, just training through this meet. She's also off the European Juniors in Poznan, so clearly just part of her preparation, but it's great to see her up here racing in the Scottish National Championships.
Confirmed then 2:18.2, 2:20 to Dawson for the second place, and 2:23.81 for the other Dawson, the European junior. So we talked, or at least I mentioned, about the difficulty in women's 200 back and trying to change the pace once you get into the middle of that swim. And well, it's the same for the 200 butterfly, if not more so. Once you lose the stroke, or once you lose the rhythm, then I'm afraid it's a downhill journey. But it's still nice to see 5 heats of men's 200 butterfly in the morning programme, and more coming later. So tough event in here. 1 Miley missing in the 200 backstroke and 1 Miley present in the 200 butterfly. Joseph Theirov in lane 4 with a 2:22 entry time.
Young Miley, the youngest Miley, has made some good progress this season. A young lad, obviously takes a bit of time just to develop through, but he works hard and technically looks pretty smooth there. He's got a nice little rhythm, but maybe just a wee bit vertical in the stroke. Yeah, maybe
Seems
quite
a bit
resistant.
high, Ali,
yeah,
yeah.
that's that. So, but he's another one that's got quite a big program here as well. He's done a range of events, and I think that's something that Patrick encourages all his athletes to do at this stage of their career, and maybe pull out of that as time goes on and become senior swimmers.
Well, I think the world of swimming is still waiting on Hannah reducing the number of events, Ali, and I may get criticism for that, although you know, it's a question that a lot of people ask, just how long can she maintain that tremendous volume of competitive swims. The reason we're talking about the height out the water is it takes a lot of effort and energy to get yourself out the water. I mean, those of you who have seen the synchro swimmers and their skills, it's not an easy task, and I'm sure many of you have tried in the pool, even on holiday, having fun in games to get out of the water, get your top half out of the water. And when you're swimming supposedly horizontally and you're coming out of the water like that, then you've got to say the force is being driven a little bit downwards to make you go up. So there's a lot that can be converted back into the horizontal, but he's a young lad. He's still looks a little bit spindly, and you know,
Yes.
once the technique gets sorted out and the strength comes into the body, I'm sure that all that will change. But you cannot hide the talent in the man, that's for sure. So 2:22 entry, an early lead after the 50, and home in a 2:18.68.
Nice cheeky little PB there.
And the event just concluding over there in lane 1 with Stuart from Aberdeen. Everything cleared, the results 2:18.6. Hughes took the second place in 2:22, and of the 26s it was Ronald that took it with 2:26.27. So we move on in the men's 200 butterfly into heat 2. Full lineup in heat 2 for the 200 butterfly. Ewan McComish, South Lanark, the 14-year-old member of the McComish family, into lane 0. Callum Deans of Elgin, Mark Elric of First, Blair Doughty of Dundee City, Callum Laurie first, Callum McGregor of Fife Performance in 5, Macbeth of Forest in 6, Henry McKenzie of Warrender in 7, Tom Bealey Aberdeen, and Murray Quillant of Aberdeen, two 14-year-olds next door, and with a lot to prove against each other. Both entered in very close times, 2:21 and 2:22. The lane 4 time is 2:18.24 on entry, and that's the lead at the moment from Callum Laurie.
And Callum from the first programme, Falkirk Integrated Regional Training. So team, sorry, and he's taken it out nicely on that first 100. Callum swims all events, a real good range of events actually, and strong on the 400 medley, 200 medley. Member of the youth squad, coached by Stephen Tigg, and Stephen, one of the coaches selected to go to the European Youth Olympics this year, so obviously doing a great job in that programme.
Second place in lane 2, Mark Elric, again from the first programme, so doing good work on the butterfly there, and it certainly is a possible target event in British swimming. So a lot of strong conditioning, good technique from Callum, 15 years of age, so he's got every potential and good future. Remember, this is heat 2. We have 3 more heats, the seeded heats, but it's a good lead. The head going down, getting into the flags. Now, what will he do? Oh, needs the breath, needs the air. Last 2 strokes, no breathing. in on 2:14.8. How does that look, Ali?
Well, I think he'd be pretty pleased with that. Looks like a nice drop on his PB, but I think probably more importantly, I think the stroke and the way he swam the race, he kept his rhythm and the length of the stroke quite well over that quite challenging event. So for a young lad, I think it was quite a good move forward for him.
63.111.
Aye, and he'll probably want to reduce that gap over time, but it was a positive swim, and I think his stroke didn't deteriorate too much over that second 100, and that's certainly something that his coach will be looking at.
So Laurie, Elric, McGregor, the 1, 2 and 3 from heat number 2. And the starter brings them to order as we enter the last 3 heats. Lane 7 listed Daniel Lim. He's out this morning. He was very, very busy yesterday. Joe Steele in 0, Callum Baxter in 1, Matthew Anderson and Ross Woolley of Warrender in 2 and 3, Mark Sharnek of Carnegie, a young rising star from the Fife setup, Stuart McIntosh of City of Aberdeen, David Mulligan and David Mulligan of Warrender, Nathan Watt in 8 for Arbroath St Thomas, Ross McDonald, Wren 96. 200 butterfly, and now with the seeded heats you start to see some of the top swimmers come together, and although it's this arrowhead shape, you still have a chance to swim against somebody because you know that they are entered on roughly the same time. So again, this first of the seeded heats, and you can just see, I think they know what's necessary, and they're just putting in that extra special performance, but trying to hold it back too, because they want to make sure that they'll have something left for the final. So they're through in 60 point.
It's a particularly difficult race to pace, I think, the 200 fly, and takes quite a lot of experience to get to the point where you can control that first 100. It's not easy just to hold it back. It's quite a good rhythm stroke, so therefore if you don't get it right, you can pay the price down the back end. And there Mark Schranek from Carnegie, another young lad going to European Juniors this year, which is fantastic, but a particularly smooth technique, quite flat, certainly on the 100. It looks quite long on the water, perhaps not quite got the conditioning for the 2, but he's certainly just hanging in there at the moment.
Yeah, good to see, neat legs, you know, feet together, nothing lost at the back, and just a little response there from Sharnek. Just a little bit of pride there. 208.31, 208.81. So there you have it. It's that's the difference, just a little extra edge, but 208s, remember, these guys are capable of 202s. It's good for McIntosh at 207 entry to see a 208 on the board. So Sharnek, McIntosh and Mulligan 1, 2 and 3. It's 8, and 11.3 for third place. So we're pointing out the swim of Callum Laurie earlier, and it was a 63.111, an 8-second drop off, and there you see a 60.208. It's an 8-second drop off, but just different pacing because of the power available and the technique available. But nice swimming. Of course, at the very, very top level, you'll see something like maybe a 3.5, 4-second difference between first half and second half.
And I think that's the difference, isn't it, is you're able to control that first 100 because you have that initial strength and speed, so you can just calm it down. But it does take 200 fly. It takes a lot of experience to actually get to that point where you're comfortable doing that. It's not easy trying to keep that pacing consistent.
And of course, so demanding on shoulders, the butterfly. and legs. So going through now, you can see, quick look at the clock there from Lewis Smith, just checking the 101.43 split. Summers, if they're clever, can do that. So where's Lewis these days in his programme, Ali?
Lewis trains at the University of Stirling, competing for his home clubs here in Warner Baths. But his coach Ian Wright just recently departed off to Hatfield. So a long relationship there that's just been broken. But he's working hard down that last 50 there.
He is very strong. He looks a lot more powerful than the last time I saw him. I wonder if he's doing a bit of land work there.
Yeah.
Felix Gifford in second place from the city of Aberdeen, and the other Warrender Summer, Sean Campsey, coming in with a strong finish as well. 2:06, well pitched there from Lewis, with 2:08s on the programme. Another couple of 2:08s for second and third. So starting to crowd in, you know, in terms of entry to the final. It'll be very different in the final, but you know, they all want to be in the middle of that pool. They want to be in the mix. So it's about pitching that swim. Smith, Gifford and Campsey 1, 2 and 3. A 6, an 8.0 and an 8.25 for the third. Heat 5, and the final heat sees Cameron Brodie of Stirling University entered on the 2:56, the fastest entry time for this event. Cameron Nelson of Carnegie is in 0. Then Ian Elric of first in 1. Rhys Hindmarsh, Newburn. Ryan Brown of Best. Cameron Brodie, Stirling University. Ross Muir first. Alistair Miley, Geary. Chris Lowther, Dumfries. Fraser Lowther, Dumfries. The brothers together. Cameron Finlayson, Heart of Midlothian, the 15-year-old in lane 9. Now, very powerful first 50, going through in 27.3.
And it'll be interesting to see how Cameron Brodie swims in this event. 2 weeks out from the British Championships, clearly got some pretty big goals for that particular event. So he's looking strong here, very smooth on the technique as well, nice and long. We'll see how his underwater goes now.
Well, it's a 58.1, so you're talking 27 from the start, then it drops down to 31. That's very difficult to hold. Coming back at him in lane 5 a little bit, Ross Muir, the 22-year-old from first. Obviously, that must be a favourite event of Stephen Tigg there, Butterfly. They're all swimming so well.
Well, Ross actually is competing for his home club, and another swimmer that's training out in Stirling with Ian Wright there as well. So strong medley and 200 fly background as well, but really looking strong there, and just trying to get back on terms with Brodie.
Cameron Brodie looked a little bit tired at the end of the third quarter. He's picked it up coming home, managing to keep the length, keep the rhythm. It's a fast finishing Ross Muir, but too much of a lead off the first 100, slotting in at 2:03.67. Well, that's certainly a very positive grab of the top spot. 2:03s, second place, 2:05, again nicely pitched. And then you can see that the 2:09s in third and fourth place are slipping out to the outside lanes in the final as the result of Cameron Brodie 2:03.6 confirmed, Muir 2:05.39, and it was well, the middle miley taking 2:09.65 and winning that touch out across the pool between lane 3 and lane 6.
And young Ryan Brown there with 2:09.9. I think he's been a little quicker than that in the past, but it's quite a strong heat swim, not far off his personal best. He's only 15, 16 years old, so hopefully he'll get a chance to swim in the A final tonight against some of the bigger guys.
Yeah, entered on a 2:07. But the pool gets a little bit of reorganisation as we go down to the present turn end for the start of the 50s, and we are starting off with the women's 50 freestyle. So super quick in comparison to, it's a nice change of tempo from the 200 butterfly rhythm to the 50 freestyle, from clear victories to very tight finishes, we hope, as we go to the next event, the women's 50 freestyle.
And as we just wait for the pool to be rearranged a little bit, we're just having a small discussion here. If anybody out there who's listening to the coverage, we're all wondering why Swiss Cottage, or Camden Swiss Cottage as the club is known, is called Camden Swiss Cottage, then we'd be particularly keen to know. Co-commentator over on the right beside me here, Duncan McKinnell, is desperate to find out what the answer to that one is. So if we can get you to tweet in, that would be particularly helpful.
So they're looking as if they may be ready, the pool staff resetting the flags and checking with the officials. Everything's got to be reset to the other end of the pool. And a chance for a little extra anxiety to build up, or in the case of the remaining swimmers, a little bit extra rest. Starting signal being checked. Now we're starting again with the four-swimmers listed in the multi-category event. The swimmer in lane 6, Hope Gordon, starts in the water. No swimmer in 5. So you can see that the popular freestyle, the easiest of the swim strokes perhaps, looking quick even at this stage. Great effort, very strong leg kick from Regan Doig in the centre of the pool in lane 4, and almost out the pool there to see what the giant scoreboard is showing her, and it's 31.71. She's entered on 30.86, and the 4 times 31.7, 34.6, 35.4 and 39.8 for Beth Johnson. So again, 5 heats in the morning and some others in the afternoon. And in the afternoon, you know, while the A finals and B finals are initially set, it's only a preparatory exercise, because if you swim faster than any of those top 20 times, you can make it into the final. So it's still a door open.
The opportunity is still there.
So 50 freestyle then. Kimberly Mackay of Midlothian, 28.45 to her credit. Just losing the start a little bit to a nice start and strong First 25 from Emily Grant. Now they come into line on the 50. 15 metres to go. Still looking as if it might be Grant in 6. And a very strong finish on the far side of the pool. But Grant's head is down and she's going for the wall in 28.3 with a 28.68 entry time. We'll call that a personal best time.
I think so. And probably one or two things to be picked up on as well that would allow her to go a little bit faster. There's a nice breath right in the middle of the last 5 metres on a 53 is going to cause you to
yeah, some
not
simple
quite
things were missed yesterday. You know, that kind of breathing every stroke into the finish. So heat number 2 then. No swimmer in lane 6. Emily Tang is out. The fastest time listed for these 9:27.96. At the 25, there's nothing in it in the middle of the pool, but showing strong in 5. Hannah Vout of Mogai and Bearsden just starting to stretch away, and in 3 with the head down, Amy Harper looks, but also in 1, the green hat there of Fiona Inglis of Midlothian takes it. 27.79, 27.97, that's good. Couple of 27s from that heat. They're listed out to 28 points, so good swim from Fiona. And Amy Harper did take the second place in heat number 2. Now you can say that we step up a shelf or two to the big guns with Lucy Hope back in the action with a 26.58. The meet is too fast to give you the full lineup. We'll take it during the swim.
And so Lucy Hope here, just getting quickly off the blocks, but she's got Julie Hunter right beside her. And it's Hunter that's got off the blocks well and is maintaining her rhythm down this last 10 metres.
Gonna have to take a breath, I think. Oh no, she's managed it. That must have been about 14 strokes that she took to get to that pad.
And she'll be delighted. I think that's the first time that she's been on the 27 point for
26.97.
You could see the wee smile coming up there.
26.97, and it's super. Remember that 24.68 is still the superlative goal left there by Alison Shepherd as the Scottish record, but that's nice, and some of the juniors starting to get close to the Scottish junior record. So heat number 4 then. Penultimate, seeded in the centre of the pool, not getting their own way. Eloise Barber, Stirling University, 26-4. Now, after 25 metres, starting to show the power of the 21-year-old age group, and starting now to head towards the finish. She's in the last 5, the head is down, the hands are clean. She's up and looking across the pool just to check that the swimmers on her right are not beating her. 26.59, nice and swift and good racing. Stark of Warnder,
I think that's
in second place, and Simpson that he set back in the pool, 26.99.
Yeah, that's a lovely swim from Katie Stark from Wander, 26.94. I think that's a nice little drop. A young girl from Edinburgh, looking pretty sharp on the sprint events.
Well, they now know what's necessary. The final heat, and everybody in. It's a long underwater from Laura Davidson. Normally you wouldn't expect that from the American-based swimmer. At 25, it's lane 4. Shan Harkin, Stirling University. The fastest entry time, 26.47. She's seen that positively challenged, but she's a clear victor in the seeded heat number 5. 26.32. Second and third coming from the top of the pool, 0 and 1 with Sarah Hamilton and Jessica Christie, and that result just waiting to be confirmed. Oh. So Harkin, Christie and Hamilton, 26 and 27s. The 26 points heading the way in the women's 50 freestyle event. Still the afternoon to come, but that looks pretty solid to me.
Yep, still a way to go before we move up the step to the top end of the British level, and then onto the international scene thereafter. But one or two of the younger kids there looking pretty good, and moving into the 26s when you're 15 years old is not it's pretty good swimming.
Staying with the 50s, and it's 50 breaststroke. Now you saw the 200 yesterday and the 100 yesterday. There's just you can see the difference in the tempo now. The tendency here is to want to rev the stroke up, to turn round as fast as possible, but the complications of the technique just don't allow that on some occasions.
It's almost like a separate event now, I think. Certainly on a number of the 50s, the fly and the breaststroke, and even a freestyle now, with the rhythm and the rate is completely different to how you would swim the 100 metre and 200 metre events.
So 5, Craig McGlash, powerful, very tight. There's absolutely no work outside the body line there. Legs are narrow, hands are narrow, but through to victory. 32.5. McGlashan 32.5, Nevison 33, and a 33.33 for Shearer sets the event underway. 33s in the second heat. They will have got a little bit of a fright there, as we see a 32 from the first. And in here, Cameron Park in lane 4 of South Lanark, 32.95. Well, he's going to have to shift if he wants to be up with the event. So it's a full house. The action from the middle, 32.33, very, very low. Nothing at 20 metres. The start not separating anybody, so nobody getting much out of that at 25. Now starting to look strong in the middle of the pool. 4, Cameron Park, just starting to stretch, but a great swim over there. Callum Deans, Scott MacArthur in lane 2, just looks as if he's going to be on stroke. It's a long, long drive from lane 4 and just touched out to second place. And that's what it's about, spotting the finish, but making the adjustment a bit earlier than your last stroke. Yeah. That's for sure.
And it's having the awareness to be able to do that earlier on in the swim. A lot of swimmers just wouldn't be aware of the fact that they need to be able to adjust as they come through so that they can actually spot the finish right on the end. And Scott certainly took advantage of their finish right at the end of the stroke and just nicked it.
Yeah, Cameron there, a long, powerful kick, but when you start to drift or glide, then the time is stretching. So heat number 3 then. We're down now to the 28 points. There's a big jump from 33s down to 28s in the centre. Mark Campbell of City of Aberdeen looking to dominate this. Powerful arrow edge. Nobody tackling him, but again a good swim. Lane 2 seems to be popular as Jack Thorpe starts to cut the lead down, but running out of pool in the 50 breaststroke. Campbell holding on for a 28.67.
And Campbell having already somewhere 28 low earlier
Campbell
in the season.
28.6. Sorry, Ali, just giving the results to all those wonderful viewers out there. Graham taking the second place and Thorpe in 29.45 with a third. So 2 heats to go then, building up nicely. 28s, we're starting to look at 28 low with the seeding. It's out to 31s and 32s, so they'll have to be on their mettle. Remember, they are in one of the seeded heats, and we've already seen 32s from one of the early heats. So Mark Tully, East Lothian. He's the favourite on paper, 28.2, but he's under pressure from Craig Benson of Warrender. The young Olympian on the 50 at this stage, just giving it to Mark Tully and saying, on you go. Good swim in 3 from Douglas Scott of Stirling University. And again, very short stroking at the finish. Tully managing to keep the rhythm, but a very high lift at the end. That allows somebody to come in underneath sometimes. Confirming 28.35 then. Scott 28.77, and the well-known Benson third on 29.4 with a heat to go.
Yep, and it's making up for we're looking like a pretty tasty final tonight, actually, with it all popping in 28s and 29 lows. Then I think it's going to be pretty tight.
Fastest entry time from Stirling University's Ross Murdoch of 28.12. You can imagine the thoughts going through his head as he's processed the data from the giant scope. It's a good start in lane 7 from Daniel Slavinsky, that well-known man from University of Stirling. Not initially from there, but crowding now. They're all realising what they've got to do to get into the final and get a good place. The battle in lane 4 and 3, Ewan Ingalls and Ross Murdoch. Oh, 28.14. 2 100ths off the entry time to take first place. The result confirmed, Ingalls just 5 100ths behind, and Slavinsky 28.44. That's not a bad 50 breaststroke from Daniel.
It is, but in lane just there, Ewan Ingalls from Edinburgh University, a big drop from him there to go 28.19, and he'll be absolutely delighted with that performance, that's for sure. Well, we could do with a wee refresh here to see exactly who's made the final at this moment.
I know, we're going to pick that up at the break and make sure the summary comes up for us, because it's an important piece of data that everybody looks for.
Pretty much looking like 29 zip is the cut-off by the looks of things.
Yeah. Well, I always feel for the distance swimmers at this stage with you know, the 800s and the 1500s coming at the end of the program. They've done all this build-up, warm-up, pacing, and then, you know, we're talking, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours later, they come to their swim. And that's the value of a really good warm-up facility, isn't it? Especially for them.
Indeed, and they have to plan themselves so that accordingly. They maybe don't want to get to the pool too early if they know they're going to swim at the back end of the session, so they've got to be as fresh as possible.
Okay, we're coming to 3 heats of 800 meters freestyle. So we're now wondering why, with spare lanes in the following heats, the swimmers have not been spread into them. And this happens at almost every championship, you name. I mean, we're talking World, European, Olympics. You find that there's spare lanes in succeeding heats, and then you get 2 swimmers going on their own in the first heat. I'm not sure what that's about.
Well, I think in this particular occasion there's 2 spaces and 3 swimmers, so they've obviously made the call to put 3 in the first heat to allow a little bit of racing on the go. So
2 in a lane.
Well, 2 in a lane, certainly. I would certainly advocate that. At other meets, I'm not quite sure about that for the national championships, but I don't see there's any reason not to go 2 in a lane in other meets across the country.
Well, 3 in the lonely vigil of the 800. Enters 9.45 for Beth Armour in lane 3. In the pole lane, Jessica Payne from Leicester Penguins, 9.44.3, and Jenny Lafferty of first in 9.44.59. So on paper, very close together. In the swim, I'm sure it will turn out differently, especially over an 800 freestyle, and long course at that.
And with the swimmers being aged 14 and 15 years old, nobody exactly knows where those swimmers are at that particular point in the year, and age groupers can be good at one stage and not so good at the next stage, so it's a bit of it's a bit of a guess, to be honest with you, but And so just getting to the first 200. Through, it's Jessica Payne through in 2:23.47. Looking fairly controlled in that first 200 metres. But with the 800, quite important to make sure that you're not putting it all out there in the field or out there in the pool to start off with, making sure that you're trying to use your effort throughout the 800.
We've had one of the tweets, of course, that we're trying to pick up is from Andrew Gairns, and he's saying that seeing the Tollcross swims live has made him wonder about retiring and maybe thinking of a comeback. So, well, if streaming can do that for you, that's wonderful. And thanks very much for the time and effort to give us your thoughts and your feelings, Andrew. You get back in the pool. There's always masters, if not knowing what your age is, but there's always masters that you can go for.
So that looked like a 1:14 on that particular 100 and turned into 2:23. So just ripping under the 5 minutes for the 400 metres. So we'll be around about 4:54, 4:55 at the first 400, and then we'll see what happens and develops in the second half of the race.
So at 14:15, your experience is about quality training, quality pacing, and when you come to the competition, it's about then transferring that and trying to just move your training pace just maybe down a little bit, because you want to get some added value from coming to the competitive arena. I mean, sometimes it's easy to swim 33s, 34s, or whatever the pace you're at in terms of your technique and development. But when you come here, you want to, maybe have a target that's slightly faster, because you've got that extra motivation, you've got that extra factor to consider. And, making a very good effort on the pacing, just as we cross the 5 minute mark on the way through the 800, and we're just getting a little response, I think, from Jenna Lafferty. And first just seems to have maybe sometimes swimmers find that when there's something just a little bit too slow, that it's almost as if they need to go to their oxygen pack number 2 in order to do something in the swim. And it's almost as if she's broken through some kind of bubble and decided that this is not me, this is not my swim, this is too slow, and she's just picked it up. She's just, in that 100 meters, she's just overtaken the leader, and she's now clearly in front. So maybe working off somebody else's swim is just the wrong tactic.
Well, she certainly swum the first 400 comfortably, dropped that pace right down, and has found a different rate, a different pace, a different rhythm in the stroke, and that's made a big difference in terms of the race itself, because she's now developed a good 5 metre gap between herself and Jessica. So continuing to press that pace, and it's now growing, isn't it?
Isn't it? I mean, it's a lovely little swim, actually. She's well balanced. She's picked it up. She's decided, I'm not in that particular swim. I'm in my own swim, and I'm going for it. Beautiful little balanced swim. The head in the center, the hands entering in front. Leg kick not too powerful, because you don't want to give all the energy down to those big, hungry, greedy muscles in the thighs and the calves. And she's just taken this race by the scruff of the neck. Good on you. I mean, it was heading for a really slow time compared to the 9:44, whatever way that was worked out. And here she is, slotting through 7:17.
Yeah, it's about a 112 on that 100, so she's dropped the hammer in cycling speed. But you were talking about the leg kick there. She's got a nice tidy 6-beat leg kick there, but she's managed to keep it under control, and it'll be really interesting to see if she can pick that leg kick up towards the back end of the race and really show that she's controlled her effort and controlled her swim.
So definitely 3 different swims. Jessica Payne never changed, led for the first 300-400, and then in comes Jenna and says, not for me this, not having any of that, and just picked up the tempo and seems to be in a really comfortable place at the moment. Nice balance. Breathing every 3 strokes, good bilateral. Then she throws in 2 to the right, making me an absolute monkey.
She thinks she's going 2 and 3.
And here's the bell for the last 100. Now, what's left? Because she, as we said, can't pick up easy on backstroke, you can't do it on butterfly, but you can on freestyle, and there may be a little bit extra. She's holding the pace, keeping it back for the last 50, and maybe a little grandstand finish. 9:44, that's 8:44 on the way past. She's well into this last 100.
Look as though she is now starting to pick up those legs, as we were talking earlier on. That nice 6-beat just starting to come up a little bit. There we go.
Yeah, a little sign of white water on the way back. Feeling fresh as a daisy. 800 freestyle. Started off like a training swim or a recovery swim, and then became a race. And she spotted that, and all congratulations to her for doing that. And in her heat, at her level, in her way, 9:44. Very tight to it, but get in there, Jenna. Come on. 9:40.7. Super little swim, I think. A lot in there for her to learn from and for others to learn from. She has a very confused look. She's talking to herself. I can see her lips moving from here.
Yeah, well, maybe she's thinking, well, did I not go out quite quick enough on that first 400?
Yeah,
Perhaps
but
if I'd gone out a little quicker.
But she didn't seem to have tons left, you know. 9:40.7. Payne finishing in 54, and a 10-minute swim from Beth Armour. She'll be a little bit disappointed with that, but it's gone. You can't get it back. And we're going now to heat number 2. There are 3 heats in the morning programme. Heat 4 with Meg Finnan and Alsha Thornton, Megan Gilchrist. That comes in the evening finals session. So 2 more heats of 800 to go. We have here Erin Lafferty in 1, Olivia Jackson, South Lanark, Erin from Carnegie, Kirsten Clark, City of Glasgow, Fiona Thornton of Hatfield, Emily Hewitson, Dumfries, Lauren McKenzie of Elgin, Alex Cunningham, East Lothian, Jennifer Davis, Edinburgh University. Alex Cunningham had fun in the 4x200 relay last night with East and West Lothian next door to one another. Fiona Thornton entered on a 9:35. Again, first of the seeded heats, dropping down to 9:35, but it's a heat declared winner. It's not about swimming fast here to get to the final. It's about putting in your particular performance here at the Tollcross Championships.
Indeed, it's an opportunity to post the personal best, season best, get yourself a qualifying time, that sort of stuff. So, and obviously implement the skills and the training that you've been applying in your day-to-day programs. It's a real opportunity to come here and race, and we've had some really good stuff so far this morning. So
the early part, the first 200, just getting rid of the extra adrenaline and the anxiety of, you're under the spotlight now, it's your swim, and starting to feel out just what's the technique like? What was it like in warm-up? How does that feel now that it's maybe, you know, some 2.5 hours later, and getting quickly to your race? And in the previous we're mentioning that maybe Jenna wasn't quite up to that speed and tempo quickly enough, but certainly made up for it in the second part of the swim. Now coming through, surprise leader at this stage, lane 8's Jennifer Davis of Edinburgh University. The split time on the way through to 16s. You can do a little bit of arithmetic and see how the race shapes. If that's 2:16, do we do 4 2:16s? So you know, we can work that out. Or as we get tired, what do the other 200s look like? And of course, there's all sorts of analysis can be done just on the time alone.
I think this could turn out to be quite an interesting race, actually. Emily Hewitson from Dumfries. I'll be interested to see whether she swims fairly even to start off with, and then actually come through on the back half of the race.
And who's the back half swimmer, Ali? Remind us.
Young Hewitson, I think, but there's a bit of a gap developing with Jennifer Davis, a 22-year-old from Edinburgh University.
So Davis through in 3:28. Just again, same kind of pace, but earlier on in the race. Same pace as the previous heat, but earlier in the race, so obviously a little bit quicker. And what you've got here is Davis in lane 8 taking a surprise lead. Summers in the middle, just gradually starting to come back. Second place in 7, it's Alex Cunningham of East Lothian. But, well, they're letting Davis get rather far away. A lot of work, but, well, starting to move away from the centre of the pool now, or the group in the centre of the pool, lane 3. City of Glasgow's Kirsten Clark. Hewitson stalking. Alex Cunningham moving through as well at this stage. Lane 7, second place. Again, looking at the leg kick, there's a variety. Most trying to do 6 beat, but if you look at if you can look at lane 3 and get a clear view, it's very, very interrupted. There's some kicking, some not kicking. You know, and that all depends on lane 3. It's a very strong breathing to 2 to the left, then 2 to the right, and then no breath. It's a very inconsistent kind of stroke from lane 3's Kirsten Clark.
I think you do have to develop some sort of consistency in what works best for you. Obviously, depending on the events, we traditionally tell our kids to swim and balance out the stroke every 3 strokes, that sort of thing, and I think that applies quite a lot in training. I think you've got to work out what's the best way in terms of your breathing pattern, in terms of the speed and the event that you're swimming. We see on the world stage, especially on the male side, swimmers breathing every 2 strokes in the freestyle event. So there's a lot to be said for working that out, what actually allows you to fit the legs in with the arms and the balance of the stroke as best as you can, so that you can swim as fast as you can.
Danger of breathing to the one side, of course, is that one arm tracks, incorrectly, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've got to keep on that. And but I think in training you may want to be able to do both. Obviously, the balance in terms of your physique as well, and avoiding injury, that sort of stuff is quite important.
So the race not changing picture visually very much. Davis still out there working from the outside lane, and good strong line down the middle. low recovery, legs working but quiet, just acting as a nice stabilising influence at the back. No power needed at the moment, so they just work away quietly in rhythm with the arms. But the middle of the pool starting to cut back the gap now, starting to build towards the finish. Remember, times 9:35s, 9:37s, 9:38s, that's the entry times. 7:08 through the 700.
And so it's still Jennifer Davis up front, but Hewitson just starting to make a bit of a move. She's from her 200s, 220, 227, 225. And so is really starting to put the hammer down. Well, it'll just be interesting to see whether she can actually pick Jennifer up in this last 150.
Yeah, it's coming through the back, just picking it up. Legs starting to be a little bit stronger. So, as predicted by Ali, Hewitson making a lot of the back half, but where has she been? You know, where has she been in the swim? The bell sounding. That little extra jolt. You can see the legs of Davis trying to kick, but they've been quiet for so long. And she doesn't look like the class sprinter. She is, built for endurance and long-term comfort rather than for speed. Hewitson digging in now, picking up the yellow hat of Alex Cunningham, also looking dangerous, but not quite racing for it. And that's what we need to do. We need to get somebody to race. Almost turning together now. The gap really close. Hewitson is on the accelerating, picking up the momentum. The work has been done by Davis throughout the last 750. And it looks like one of those moments where, you do all the work and then you get pipped at the post. Cunningham coming into third place. A little pick up in 3 from our Kirsten Clark. Hewitson, 15 metres to go, holding the pace, not picking up the legs. Looks as if Davis is looking strong. She's really picking it up, digging in, head down, and it's an age group finish. It's a 1, 2, 3 into the pad. 9:34 on the times.
So Hewitson there showing 220, 227, 225, 222 on the 200s.
Oh, right.
So maybe just that second 200 just let it drop too much, and
yeah,
if she'd just kept it a bit closer, she might have been able to bump it a little bit more. But really strong there, very tidy technique as well, and lovely to see that 6 beat coming in at the back end. Good control.
What is her main freestyle event?
Well, I think she's a young age grouper. She swims all the events at the moment, but her coach Ben Higson very strong on making sure and developing all skills and that aerobic background as well. And that shows up. Yeah,
it looks like for me, it looks like a very nice 400, capture from an 800 swim. So here we have the final heat this morning. No swimmer in lane 4. Ailey Duthie of the City of Aberdeen swim team entered on 9:20, absent this morning. Let's hope she's not unwell or injured. And times here from the swimmers round about 9:25, 9:26 out to 9:33s. So they've seen the 9:34 posted, so they know what they've got to do to maintain the challenge to the final heat this evening. And in that final heat, because of the entries, there are 9:13s, there are 9:9s, there are 8:36s. So real opportunity for this heat to place themselves well in the heat declared situation of the 800 freestyle. Let me just cover the swimmers for you. Rebecca Smith in 0, the young Meg Finnan in for South Lanark in, sorry, it's Kate Forbes in 0, Alexandra Bryce from first, Lucy Illingworth, South Ayrshire, Jordan Sturt from Warrender in the top half of your view. Then Mary High of Ren 96, Jessica Thompson, Geary, India Dodd, Warrender, Faye Hindmarsh, Newburn, Karine Kelly of Stirling in 9.
It looks like after this 800 freestyle, looks like we're going to have a bit of a bonus event. We're going to swim off on the 400 freestyle and the boys.
Oh joy.
Well, it will be a joy for those two young lads trying to battle their way to a final spot this evening. So, and as we know, swim-off events, head-to-head competition, generally produce pretty good...
Speak to Robbie Rennick.
Indeed.
So, 2:16. Now that is exactly, maybe not to the hundreds, but 2:16 from the previous heat. And striking out in lane 5. Mary High, and covering her in 3, Jordan Sturt of Warrender, just heading up, and in lane 9 again. Well, this sometimes happens at a competition and a meet, that there's a lane that just seems to be on fire, you know, that every, you know, heat in the events, regardless of stroke and discipline, they seem to swim well.
Well, Katie and Kelly from Stirling in lane 9, just returning to a little bit of form. It's taking a wee bit of time, suffered a wee bit of illness, that sort of thing. Probably her entry time's a season best rather than a lifetime best, and so she's certainly making the most of her opportunity out here in lane 9. Lucky lane 9.
Lucky lane 9, yes, and driving off the wall, nice skills going into the swim. Again, 6-beat leg kick, pattering at the back, little leg beater there. Good balance, head nice and steady as it returns to the centre point after breathing. You can see the very big difference in stroke technique to between Karine and in lane 5, Mary, reminiscent of although with the 6-beat kick it's interrupted, you can see some of the leg kicks coming out of the water, reminiscent of swims from the 60s and the 70s in women's 400 freestyle. Short entry, short stroke length underneath, back to the front, just into a nice positive bouncing rhythm, but not bouncing too high, just cutting the lead a little bit, you know, from Kelly out here in lane 9, going through in 4:37.
It's probably around about a 2:20 on that 200.
Yeah, it's,
so, but she's still looking pretty strong, I have to say. She's got that 6-beat kick, and it's quite apparent at the moment, but it's keeping her nicely positioned on the top of the water, still pretty streamlined in body position, so she'll look to control this 200, maybe even just press on a little bit, and then we'll see what happens, who's got what left right towards the back end of the race. And, very high from Ren 96 in lane 5. Still in the middle there, tracking the race. Just maybe starting to look a little bit scrappy. And short, the stroke just getting a little bit shorter. Hand entry just getting in a bit closer to the head as the fatigue sets in. And the rest of the race, we're in 3rd place over there. In lane 2. Lucy Illingworth from South Ayrshire. She just seems to be making a wee bit of a move on Vary. And that looks as though that might develop into an interesting finish there, and with the two of them going head to head in the back 200. So it's Kieran Kelly there in 9. Still applying the pressure. Really controlling our technique at the moment. It's looking pretty much the same as it was at the start, so I think that's a good sign. And, looking as though she will be able to work this last 200 through in 6:58 on that one, and that's looking like another 2:20.9 there, so a fairly even pacing on that 200, the mid 440 for the middle 400.
Yeah, there was a small challenge from Mari High, getting quite close to the to Kelly, but just managing to maintain that nice even pacing, and it looks as though Mari hasn't been able to maintain that, and the gap has opened up. Clearly in third place. In lane 2, Helen McRoberts of Warnder. No, sorry. It's Jordan Sturt of Warnder. Lucy Illingworth of South Ayrshire. My apologies, folks. Clear third place across the pool, although it's seeded to 4 and 5. No Summer in 4 on this penultimate heat, but the final heat swim of the morning. And Kelly about to hear the bell, and we'll just see if there's any different response from that almost metronomic robotic pattern. And that's what you need for distance swimming. You need to be able to hold and control, and the increase should be gradual. You don't want to be going from a particular speed to top speed, because you can do it, but you will pay for it, and it ain't the way to swim. You want to make sure that when you finish the swim that there's really not a lot of reserve fuel in the tank, so it's a gradual increase over the last 100. Maybe if you're in a grand final in a major meet, that you would go all out in that last 100. But it's driving, and the leg kick now a bit stronger. And well, it's been a really clever swim, a really intelligent swim from Kieran Kelly this morning, as she comes in to take a 9:16 time. She's in on a 9:34. You must be pleased to see that.
Yeah,
Ali.
it's a great return to form there. So the way she swam it was first class. She's repped 110s pretty much all the way through the race, and then a cheeky little 100 at 67.9 on the last 100. So extremely well swum.
Good control, good intelligent pacing. So well done, Kieran, and that's that sets the pattern and the target for the final heat, which comes in tonight's session. So Kieran Kelly, 9:16.4, good swim, high middle swim challenge, but not holding on, 23, and it's 26 to Illingworth, Lucy Illingworth of South Ayrshire. A 1 and 2 and 3 from the final heat of the morning. We have one extra swim per program because it's the swim off in the men's 400 freestyle. Now, how's that for a menu? You know, you come here, you swim your 400, you have an equal time in the 400, and then you find that you've got an extra swim, and if you win the swim, well, you get another swim later on. Joe Steele, David McGregor in for a swim off. Steele a busy man the first 2 days. Joe Steele in 4, David McGregor in 5, and they went 4:16.5 in the morning. Now, tradition, history and experience says that you'll get a faster time here, and they'll make the final. And If they do a little faster, then they have a chance of going faster in the evening, but it's a difficult ask. 3 top 400s, and as you'd expect, stroke for stroke, one covering. This is the way it happened. Joe Steele just took the finish in his heat with a little extra swim. Nice and long though. We'll just check those split times on the way through. Very controlled, 60 point. Very low, 60.97. No, they went 4:16.5 in the morning. So you'd expect something that they will pace together. But when you're in a race like this, eyeball to eyeball, shoulder to shoulder, and in fact at the moment it looks like synchronized 400-meter freestyle. Right arm, left arm, and the turn happening together. Now they've gone their separate ways, of course. Joe Steele putting in a little better extra work under the water, and having to come back all the time. David McGregor in 5, but he's not letting it go. There's pride, there's points, there's experience, and there's times at stake. It's good stuff from these guys going through. 60 on the way out. That makes it an easy calculation, of course. Through in 207.3. Double that. It's 4:14, and then you add on whatever conditioning, but making a little effort here on the third 100. This is a very key psychological point. The third quarter of the swim, very tough, very hard. They know it, and David McGregor came off that wall and decided, I'm going to put the challenge to you, Joe. I'm going to say, you come with me this time. Thank you for the tow up the first 200, and now I'm going for it. I'm taking it away. Now, the danger is that you've gone too early and you just don't have enough energy at the end to close it down. It's a good tactic. McGregor now taking the lead. Steele breathing to the right a couple of times. He's getting a chance to get a little bit of a tow. He won't rest, but there's just that little physical effect across the pool if you're in that position against a faster swimmer. So, through in 3:10. 63, so you're looking at 4:13, 4:14, and McGregor is putting in what must be his final swim. If he's got anything left this evening, it will be a top day for him. The heats in the morning, the swim off in the middle of the day, the final at night. Can he still go faster? McGregor makes it look as if he's got it, and Joe Steele looks as though the bolt has gone. There's no pickup. He's driving, but he's not picking it up. And David McGregor coming home then. Takes the swim off. 25 to go. Head down. Still putting pressure. Doesn't want to release any kind of hold on this 400 swim off. 3:10 on the way through. And that last 100, the head down. It's a courageous swim. 4:13.57. A 4:16 in the heats. A 4:13.5. That's what usually happens in a swim off. Be it a 50, be it a 400. It's there. It's a faster in the swim off. That's it, cued. 4:13.57 to McGregor. Joe Steele 16.52. Disappointment for Steele, and I'm not sure it's joy for McGregor with another swim this evening. Well, thanks very much for being with us on this fourth session, the day 2 number 1 session of the Scottish Gash National Open Championships from the International Swim Centre at Tollcross. We'll be back about 1 o'clock in the day. The start is set for 1:15. Thanks to Ali White for the first session. Don't forget the tweets, because we're now starting to get them through to us. It's hashtag SGN13Live. For the moment, thank you very much, and I'll see you later.
The British Gas Swim Britain Challenge is a great way to get the whole nation involved, be more healthy, be more active.
It's a giant relay race. We need teams of 4, so hopefully lots of people can get involved. Swim Britain are providing training sessions. This will encourage people to see the benefits of improvements.
Swim Britain will really help me break away from my busy schedule, just get away from everything.
That element of teamwork and training in a group is great fun. You know, anyone can swim no matter what your kind of fitness or sport and background.
That's what's brilliant about this, is that it is a team event. It just makes it so much more fun. You can all cheer each other, support each other on.
I want to take part in Swim Britain because I want to get fitter, lose some weight and make a permanent change to my exercise routine.
So make sure you sign up to this amazing challenge. You never know, I could be on your team.
The buzz is just unbelievable just now. It's back in my hometown in Trin, everybody's talking about it, and just hopefully I can be part of that Scotland team, and if I am, it'll be a memory I'll never forget.
Since joining Scottish Gymnastics, to compete at the Commonwealth Games, it's going to be my first Commonwealth Games, and no better place to do it than in our home country.
Commonwealth Games are really the only time you get to represent like Scotland on its own, and yeah, it's really special. It's like your own little family really when you're on the team. Go Scotland!
Do you know what? I don't think there'll be anything to beat it. You know, I competed at the London Olympics and that was really special, but Glasgow I think will just be something else. Go Scotland!
It's very important to have the backing of the community, your country and that. I'd like folk to get behind you and enjoy what you're doing and appreciate what you do, and that's what hard work's for. Go Team Scotland!
I think it's really important that people back Team Scotland. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for everyone to come together and support the team.
There's obviously going to be a great buzz around the city, and we're really looking forward to having these spectators come out and see netball. Netball's not one of the most profile sports that we've got here, so we're really looking forward to seeing how we can really engage with the spectators and show what netball's all about. Go Scotland!
Oh, the support will be huge. If everyone turns up, it's going to be a great atmosphere. There's nothing better than playing on a badminton court with the whole crowd welcoming behind you. It's a really great feeling, and I really hope to experience it.
Being from Glasgow myself, nothing more that you want to do in your career. Homegrown, in your city, all your friends, family can all come and watch. There's nothing really more you want. Go Scotland!
Being in judo, it's an individual sport, but when you're in that fight and if you're down the score, if you just need that extra lift. With Glasgow 2014 coming up and the massive Scottish team that we're going to have in Glasgow, it feels like a family. Go Scotland!
It's a huge honour and it's a pinnacle of anyone's career. I was fortunate enough to play back in Melbourne a few years ago now, where the whole experience was incredible. I'm sure that Glasgow can look to emulate that.
The atmosphere in Delhi was great, even when we're halfway across the world. So to imagine what it's going to be like in Glasgow when we're in front of a home crowd, it's going to be twice as good. Go Scotland!
This will be my first games and it'll be a home game, so for me it's, as much as it's a cliche, it will be a dream come true, and just to have that support and to have my family and friends support me at home games, it means everything to me.
Go Scotland!